Good morning and welcome, Free Enterprise fans. My name is Dathis, and I am joined by the beatific bard enthusiast FF4FE here for commentary this afternoon. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing okay. I think this was a total surprise that I let you do the intro. Why would they know about that in advance? But yeah, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful, and this is our sixth qualifier for our Highway to the Three Zone Round 4 race. We have our grateful runners Neon Gray, Moleboy, Coffee and Chocobos, and Mike 34. I'm excited to see it, especially considering the starting character we have.
They didn't get a starting character. You're supposed to give them a starting character. That's just rude.
That's look, we all know your lovely distaste for Rydia, but your love for Edward. Maybe it'll be a Rydia Edward parting, and you're gonna have Team 90 HP. But speaking of team, we also have some guys in the background. We have Lamia Harp working our tracking, and we have Dushmu doing the restream, and so it's a great team for early going on. But yeah, and also some really good objectives.
Yeah, no, the big one to remember is the pan. There's multiple different types of pan type checks that you can do. You can bonk Yang with the pan, call it a day. But this one you have to begrudgingly take the Yang indented, shaped pan, what have you, back to his wife and hopefully get something of value out of it. And then, of course, the ever wonderful Tower of Zot. So that's going to be a nice find when we get the Earth Crystal, too. So, yeah, in addition to our obligatory defeating of the Blarg dragon itself, Wyvern, trying to find some value for once in Cave Bahamut, and of course, forging a a mist whip for a character that apparently exists that I don't see on screen.
That's very true. I believe Rydia can't Rydia also get like the garbage item because I know there's the possibility of just like the lump of coal essentially.
The
I'm not sure
funny
if Rydia
thing
can get
is,
that though.
I'm not sure because every single time I've forced myself to do a Rydia start, I've always gotten the mist whip. So I know some characters can get scrap, but maybe not her. Not sure.
That'd be
Oh,
interesting if she couldn't get it. But yeah, the Mist Whip gonna make Rydia a much more passable character. The big thing about a Rydia start, we cannot slingshot her because of the Sea Hero flag. She's dead. She's still gonna get that XP. And it's really gonna depend on what we see. Are we gonna see a Leviathan? Makes her really viable. Are we gonna get ourselves, a Titan or an Ifrit on Mount Hobbs? If so, she's gonna be good. If we get a bomb and we maybe see a sylph, then she's gonna be like passable at best. But I mean, hey, virus cast for free MP, can't argue with that.
and with the updated the updated goodies and whatnot, and particularly when it comes to Leviathan itself, Leviathan's been made easier. I think it was dropped to a tier 5, so you can see it more often in like chests and shops and whatnot. So really got a buff.
Speaking of seeing more often, we do have Rydia and Kane, team Burn Mist with Yang Boss and a Sand Ruby. So we have a pretty solid start here overall. That's another free character to add to the squad. Could be one of those lovely gated ones. Could be we could find ourselves an Edge, or we could find ourselves, a little Rosa in bed and have ourselves a little bit more touch of vanilla.
Yeah, I would, as much as I would not love to feed into your obsession with vanilla, I was seeing those characters and just my level of uncomfort with them. I would totally want to see a Rosa in that bed. You have a healer, you have just a generally really good all around character. And I will say it here, Rosa is the best all around character. And I will fight anyone that says otherwise.
I'll absolutely agree with that. The only thing I would take a little bit differently, maybe for this team, I would take a Porum just for the early berserk that she gets by
Hmm.
comparison. But either way, both all really good characters to get. We do have a little bit of divergence. We have Moleboy and Coffee going to go doing a little bit of checking, looting in the Watery Pass. And we have Neon Gray showing us more vanilla with that Rosa. Well,
Heyo!
Mike is going to check the the Evelyn Castle. Look, I didn't roll this, guys. I promise. I promise.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's actually a really nice thing to find. The other thing, in addition to like Leviathan being a little more common, heroine robes are fantastic in this flag set. And we have two very viable users of the heroine robe. That character becomes nigh unbeatable. Oh, that was a nice pickup on Mike's side. Picked up the Gungnir spear and
my
a
lord.
strength ring. Kane literally just said, "I got this. We good." That's a strong Dragoon and Leviathan summon. Oh no!
Wow, that entire right side is
Ooh.
absolutely loaded for our starting team. Leviathan, Dragoon armor, so Kane can basically
Oh, there
tank
was Goon
so
armor
much.
too.
Oh man.
What?
And the thing is if you actually look on Coffee and Chocobo's side, I don't know if you caught that in his inventory. There, if you go and loot Watery Pass, there's a dancing dagger for that Rydia. So we had a lot of actually front-loaded damage. The early part of the seed, not a problem anymore. Like
Oh.
the first thought is, are we gonna find some stuff? Really, really good. And as mentioned, there's a lightsaber too. So if we find an early Cecil, we're kind of really set for damage. Like this is a team that could just take this armor and just not even care.
Yeah, this is. I'd be curious to see how many of them. And there's your Asura summon because sure, yeah. I'm curious to see who's just gonna say, you know what, I'm just gonna blow up the overworld. At this point, there's knock on my desk. There. Oh,
Not vanilla.
oh,
That's one over, but that is our free B miss.
oh.
That's not a spot you want to take just now. That's a lot more HP than what you're really, really wanting to see.
It's a lot of HP and it's very fast too.
Yeah, you don't have slow to counteract that, and as we said, it is a chunk of HP. Kane will eventually get through that because he's got all that great armor and he's not gonna care a whole heck of a lot. Maybe if you get Rydia online for Leviathan, but we're also gonna see what we get here for free. Can we get Sylph?
That is.
Oh,
I think that is.
that is in
That
fact
is
Indra. That is not bad. That means we got a couple of weaknesses we can hit too.
Yeah, and a side note, if we happen to find our Punch Mage Yang, I know somebody, I have a 25% chance of getting it right, and I've completely forgotten who picked it up, but there is a cat claw in somebody's inventory. So, in an ogre hats.
That was actually in Mike's inventory because it was looted from. It was actually also part of that right tower. That right tower is so loaded through anything.
And in this flag set, I mean, places like, well, there's
Yo
places like Evelyn Castle, Watery Pass, that are kind of out of the way, they will produce some really heckin' good loot. And unfortunately for our runners, this is a case where if you decide to fade Evelyn Castle, you are going to be solely found wanting because, oh my goodness.
So another nice pickup for possibility later, actually two really nice pickups. There's also the Ogre Axe that was on the back of Hobbs, as well as we see some Charm Arrows here in Antlion Cave. So if they have to go and do Eblin for some XP, like for example, we got a nasty hook route, then those giants gonna be absolutely no problem to be taken care of. So this early seed kind of giving the runners a whole bunch of material to work with. You got a lot of puzzle pieces, but how are we going to put them together? And with a Bahamut here, a free boss in a free location, I'm kind of really excited to see that.
Yeah, plus there's been a decent amount of J items that I've seen picked up, particularly in Antlion. There was that Stardust that was just picked up. You can't buy those J items in this flag set, so anytime you can see one, you're just like, oh, this is my, ooh, the save room paying out wonders from old boy. That was an elven bow, and I think a wizard hat as well. Ooh, this is a spicy meatball.
Yeah, that's the wyvern. Sorry, that the elven bow is going to be really good for Rydia if we don't find any good intelligence gear, or again Palom if we need to give him something like that. This seed is like everywhere is kind of looted with just enough goodies that things are going to be absolutely fantastic. No progression, but especially with the warp glitch. If Wyvern's hiding there though,
oh yeah,
really
that's good. Yeah, and the thing is, what's interesting with what Mike did was he put the Star Veil on Rydia. In this particular flag set, since it is the Sea Hero flag, it almost might have been better to put the Star Veil on Kane, because with I hate saying this, with Rydia being the hero, she's stuck in your party permanently. However, even if she is swooned, she's still going to gain EXP. So if the Star Veil was on Kane and Kane was able to stay alive for that Bahamut fight, both Rydia and Kane would have gotten MP, which is pretty nice for a nice little Dragoon, but it is what it is.
Yeah, Kane getting a little bit more XP gives him a little bit more agility, gives him a little bit more strength, which those multipliers are going to be very big, especially if you use either the Gungnir or the Ogre Axe, like I see some of the people using. So the way, let's get actually a question in chat, because you're talking about it. How does Swoon XP work? So the only way people get XP while they're dead is do this C hero flag. And if you are the hero, for example, Rydia being the hero, doesn't matter if you're alive. Ooh, we have a nope noodle in a bad spot, though. But yeah, Rydia not only cannot be removed from your party, but she also will always gain XP. So whether she's dead, whether she's alive, she's going to get XP. You can't slingshot her, anything like that. It's only with that one flag on and the main character.
Agreed, but speaking of our wonderful double Canadian content on screen right now, Ogopogo, let's make the obligatory comment. Ogopogo, dragon, yes or no?
According to the weaknesses, it is not a dragon.
Okay.
But that is still not something you're going to want to see. That opening wave without the healer, and Mike and I having not grabbed that by turning in the Sand Ruby, kind of hurts a little bit. Even a Cure 1 would help keep HP out of bad locations, but still very doable.
Agreed. Something simple as also the reason I brought the dragon thing is Bahamut, not a dragon, even though dragon. Demus, not a dragon, even though dragon. And yes, Ogopogo is a rope, according to chat, not a dragon. But yeah, it's even dropping battle speed with Ogopogo just to get a few more turns in could significantly help your chances here. Because I think this is I usually put it in the 4 to 8-ish K spot for health, but I also am bad with numbers.
Numbers are all fake anyways, just like agility. That's math that nobody really does. And if you do, you're a witch.
says the person that called the Rosa.
Look.
I did look. Yes. It was a Rosa.
But yeah, as you're saying, it's one of the spots, like as we were also mentioning, this Demist, rude location, higher HP than what you expect, because they take all the HP from the Fabul gauntlet that's there and put it into one enemy. So it's a higher amount of HP than what I think a lot of runners expect their first couple of times fighting it. Like, oh, this should just be a nice, easy fight because it's this. Like, no. You're going to get rolled a little bit harder than you may think, especially at these early levels. Like, Fabul, great early check, but if you're kind of lacking power, which, I mean, a level 5 Rydia and a level 1 Kane, they are lacking power. It's a rough early start as well.
Agreed, and like you said, something as simple as just picking up that Rosa with the Sand Ruby would do wonders right now. And in terms of not divergence on the other screens we have here, let's talk Demist. Again, the waterfall spot, which is where our Octomam usually is. Octomam is a speedy sushi, and therefore this is actually a really high speed spot. So things like Demist, things actually like Golbez can be just nightmares here. Particularly with Demist, how it works is it launches somehow 3 times and then it turns into mist. If you use a fight command when Demist is misted up, it's going to mess you up with a cold mist, and in some locations that can be devastating. So it's kind of a time sink. Thankfully, though, Coughing Chocobos was able to take out the mist, and hopefully we'll see what Rydia's mom has.
The really nice thing is, too, here's more watery pass looting, which is probably one of the higher overworld spots. Near a Same in a cabin. Pretty good loot for the back there, especially if we find ourselves an edge somewhere. But I was gonna say, so Oscar, so you're talking about it's a speedy sushi here, or a terrible takoyaki, as has been said in chat. Why is it so terrible? Why is it normally his agility is so high?
The way Octomam works, and you'll see that when we eventually, hopefully, maybe see some sushi, is Octomam starts off really heckin' fast, and every time you cut off a tentacle, which I think the first tentacle takes 3 attacks of whatever kind, and then everything after that is 2. Every time it loses a tentacle, and then it becomes slower and slower and slower. But when they factor in all the numbers and jumbo and whatnot, and oh
yeah, baby.
I am happy. I'm not racing. Dira.
This is a full clear of the overworld if I ever saw one.
Let's go. But yeah, so when the numbers and the stats for all the different spots are determined, it looks at the very beginning of the fight. And in this case, the very beginning of the fight, Octomam is heckin' fast. So therefore, well, anybody in that spot is also heckin' fast.
Absolutely. We also see black belts for sale here in Mist. Cup and Choke was just grabbing a couple chests and leaving, not doing the full loot that you could do, say, Rydia's house. But still, really good items. Mike is trying to get through this Ogopogo using some of those J items, but eating the magic counter. Not a bad hit, only doing about a quarter of Rydia's health. Also dodging, very lucky there. But we do get more hooks, Moleboy's getting one as well. And we also have Neon Gray getting through it and going to be getting his hook in short form. With all of our runners now converging from the waterfall all the way over to Mist. And that is actually Neon Gray doing a little bit of a deeper delve and getting probably one of the best whips to find this early. That is a flame whip. That's going to make Rydia really speedy.
Yeah, and the other thing we see here that to answer question chat, Rydia is in fact the hero, and when it comes to dealing with the Sea Hero flag set, finding agility, manipulating items, and whatnot is almost like more important than the hero itself. There are, and this is talking the end game, dealing with Z. There are breakpoints to make Z either not so bad to deal with, or oh god, why have you forsaken me? Levels of difficult, and since you can't stop the hero from getting levels and constantly ticking up that agility, you need items to alter the agility. In this case, the flame whip gives +5 to agility. You're looking at things like maybe cursed rings, heroin robes, ninja hats, crystal rings. Anything that can kind of tweak the numbers at the very end is going to help immensely for our party.
Speaking of an immense help, we do have Mike jumping over a double wave, getting a kill on an Ogo.
Which was awesome.
That is so good. I love the swag in that. Also fighting a Blizzard Spear on the way out. I did not quite catch the key item there.
It was a Baron key.
Ooh, that is very spicy. That means you can kind of route the entirety of Baron in after you do Mount Ordeals if you really feel the urge. So you can go do Baron Inn, Baron Castle, and that's a lot of locations.
And with that Baron key, we do now have access to that Baron weapon and armor shop, so they can drool potentially a lot of really good stuff and realize that they need money. So that's going to be a thing.
And we do have some selling of items here from Mike. Going to be buying a couple of things. Cabin's really nice to get early on, so you don't have to worry about your healing whatsoever. Is going to be great. We do have a Black Mage talking to the Doctor Dialogue. Probably one of the better spots to have him. Low HP means a couple of bops and they're gone.
Yeah, and okay, since it is a multi-stage fight, would that affect its HP gains? Like, do you lose HP? Or because you technically fight all of them, does it?
So it does affect the HP that's there because you're not fighting all 4 forms. You're only going to be fighting at most 3, especially with how low the HP is here, as we can see here. We're not going to be seeing Balnab Z, or you wouldn't be killing Dr. Dialogue himself proper. So you'd be missing one boss location or the other. So this is actually a net loss in XP, but overall, nothing you're going to cry about because you can get a lot of it later. Yeah, normally this spot's about 14-ish hundred. You see you lost about 600 there.
Davis,
that's not fun.
That's a wall. That's not.
So this is probably one of the worst spots to find this in the early game.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have the power, because look at those punches. This is a really fast, really punchy location, and we see it's hitting over the full HP here. Yeah, you look at this and you go, I'm gonna go do ordeals and come back with some XP.
Yeah, that's a, you know what, you know who would be really, really good to have in your party? And that, actually, I don't know if it'll kill itself there, but you know who'd be really good to have in your party?
Cecil?
Wrong crayon.
But it's delicious.
Best boy, Edward.
I think that spot actually does just enough damage where it would knock itself out. But yeah, there is a couple locations where it's kind of okay to where it would be okay for Edward to beat Evil Wall himself.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what character is back here. Neon Gray did find that trap chest, so it looks like they're going to be looting as much as possible back here, which is going to be really interesting to see what tier they get. A couple of J items is nice.
I am totally now. I'm hoping for an Edward, and I'm hoping for what route? I want to see Baigen. Because
no, you know what? I want to see Edward and I want to see Odin.
Ooh, that's even better.
I want to see the runners pull
No,
off
Kanatsu.
No. I want to see some Odin Eddie strats. Yeah, I want to see that. It's so my favorite thing to do.
Would they do Thunderstruck or would they do Kanderstruck?
Ooh,
Eddie Struck or Kanderstruck? Or just set them up both?
I've seen Kanderstruck be done. Oh, hey, look, Soma drop. We can give
King gets MP.
Yeah. But so to iterate a little bit about that, while we kind of have the runners going over some ground. Oh, that's a Sylph.
Ooh, Sylph, nice.
Ooh, so that's some free HP. We have already seen CPU at the Demus location, so has less value, but still really, really good if Rosa wants to berserk and we want to have, yeah, the Neon Gray leaning into the memes. But yeah, if we want to have Rosa do DPS and we have Rydia going to be doing some healing. But solid play overall. And a power step to speaking of free berserks.
Show us the boss. But mind you, the Sylph glitch is not on, so it doesn't matter what position that Rydia's in. She's going to be burning MP every single time she does it. But speaking of awesome, survey says, ooh,
Sisters, that's not.
Ooh.
So the reason why is the Rubicante spot, 21,000 HP, gonna be divided between 3 characters. The Elven Bow is going to be so clutch on that Sid, by the way. You berserk him, he's going to be doing a whole, just a whole heaping amount of damage there. But it's going to be a very scary fight because it is a fast location, and that is a fairly high magic location. So those tier 2 spells reflected are going to do enough damage to be very, very scary.
Agreed. And I definitely think that if I was running this, I would be going, okay, you know what? Let's just look at everything else in the overworld right now. And if for nothing else, to get Sid some levels, Sid and Rosa for that matter. Sid just has this gargantuan MP or HP pool that will help to soak up a lot of the damage. Rosa, the more spells we can get, the better. But yeah, that is, that Magus Sisters is one of those boss fights at that spot where you don't remember that it could be surprisingly rude until you see it and you're like, oh yeah, I don't want this either. Huh.
So speaking of things that can help get through, did you spy what was seen in Mike's inventory? There's a Dwarf Axe fairly early on in this seed, so Kane can even be in the back row right now too. Speaking of Kane though, Coffee and Chocobo is using Kane, jumping through that evil wall, and we do have ourselves the Quack Kid, which is going to make those Magus Sisters really easy. And another character in the Darkness Crystal.
Wow.
Oh, the world's open.
Okay, so this is just me. I know CNC suddenly wants to see Atella. I'm a bad person. I don't want to see Atella.
I want to see a Yang up there.
I want to see an Edward.
Oh, we know you want to see Edward.
No,
I want to see something that's going to give them some good power later on, but as for right now, just like not really benefit that hook route. But yeah, Coffee and Chocobo's doing the entirety of Baron. Just says that Darkness Crystal, we'll put a pin in you and deal with you later. I'm going to go to that Yang and say, you and I are going to have a nice conversation. With all these cap claws for him, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, no, with the Darkness Crystal, it's you have access to objective number 2, which is complete Cave Bahamut, which with this party, at this stage of the game, unless you just happen to find King Queen Evelyn there, or I'd say maybe even the Kaipo guards, because I know at least a couple of our runners have a coffin. You're not going to be able to handle that at all. But yeah, you get the free character, you get a shop check, and yeah.
The big thing is unless they find a lucky drop in some hourglasses, because J items you get very lucky, get them in a chest, they're not going to want to even see those because that's a very punchy, very heavy hitting spot. You don't
That's
want that
true.
there. And without an hourglass and without at least like 5 people, that's going to be a lot of Russian roulette you're playing with, hoping that 2 to 3 enemies are not going to hit this one specific character and that they get the hourglass off.
Oh, that's a good point. Ooh, that's just ugh.
Yeah, everybody forgets that it's like that is still one of the punchiest, highest attack spot in the game, tied with Leviathan location. Those two spots, you have physical fighting bosses there, like the Ogopogo we were talking about, like Evil Wall, like even the Baron guards or the Kaipo guards. Like free fights become less free in those locations,
You
especially
know,
if you don't have everything to deal with it.
you know who I want to see at K Value today because I'm I'm a sweetheart.
Who do we get to see in Cave Value today?
Antlion in its natural habitat.
The Lunar Cave.
It's
I
close.
approve of that. I approve of that. But we do have Mike doing some Divergent. We do
Ooh,
have
we have a
Sparkle.
sparkle.
Is that going to be our Blardburn?
Oh, hi!
Well, you fade.
Oh!
What?
Oh!
Look, I know he's got his face out there, and he's. I've never seen that move. I need to know what that does.
I have questions. Yeah, Nibari in chat understands. This is a family-friendly stream. Wyvern.
I mean, what is going on? I've never seen the tongue attack, but the thing is, that's also a pretty quick spot. So those nukes would come out kind of quick, to be honest. But yeah, as chat pointing out in our restreamer Dishmoo's pointing out, Wyvern does in fact counter any summon with Mega Nuke. It is a viable strategy to use. You throw up wall and you have Rydia cast summons, and she will absolutely watch Wyvern Mega Nuke himself into oblivion, which is entertaining to say the least.
And speaking of CNC going into Baron, it turns out Baron was overtaken by 3 imps in a trench coat, so GG's to the imps.
So a nice free boss. I don't think I'd be burning if I had them here, my coffins, but I would probably toss the very nicely done. I would definitely toss maybe those Medusa arrows on Rosa and kind of hope, but for the most part,
yeah, getting those to proc can get a little it's as straightforward as relative agility.
But the really nice thing is we do have Mike lighting up the very first orb. That is our Wyvern down, and we're going to see what the next boss is here, because this is
Valvalis.
Look, D is not running, so we're not going to have that kind of shenanigans here. That is a Dark Elf, though. So we have Dark Imps, Dark Elf on the bottom side, and we have Moleboy and Neon Grey going down Eblin Cave and just finishing up Fabul Castle, getting the Baron key.
Yeah, Dark Elf's a very interesting one in that when it's in its elfy form, it's more of a magic user of sorts, and then it says me change with cruise control turned on full force. Then it turns into a slightly less pale dim and just becomes really punchy. So I always find it so hard to like categorize which spots are good and which spots are bad to see Dark Elf in, but really anything back attack is just a not fun time.
Yeah, anywhere where he is very fast is a very bad time. Also, so we did have Warlink answering the question. The Witchburn spell, Tongue, deals non-elemental damage and sleep to one party member. Also, after a quick little browsing, it is used by the Naga enemies that are found underground.
Look at Dathis trying to be all smart and stuff.
Curiosity, I gotta find it. Some of these Witchburn spells you'd never really see, and especially if like you go through the vanilla game and you just kind of knock down Nagas in one hit because they only got 900 HP. You don't really see some of the abilities from later on. So it's like, wait, what spell is this again?
Yeah, fair point.
But we do have Cocking Chocobos getting through those Dark Elves fairly easily. Ooh. We have a Dark Knight in the seed too. That is making Ordeals a very big play right now.
Yeah, that is going to immediately... Anybody that's able to get through and get the Baron key from Ogopogo, going to Baron, completing all that, that's going to be massive, because that's going to lead them right to their first objective with Wyvern. Now, I'm curious, since CNC hasn't gone up Ordeals yet, if they're going to take a peek at the Odin spot. Case Summon is not on, but they already know where Demus is, but they still haven't found the Wyvern. So maybe he might go for information. Maybe he just might say, nope, I don't want that negativity in my life, and go elsewhere.
But let's hope Neon Grey's Leviathan one-hits this Wyvern, because if not, that's going to be a very nasty counterattack.
Yeah, just a little bit. Meanwhile, we get to see what's in the Baron trash can, and it is...
Blarg!
Whoa! Oh, that's spicy!
Yeah, like I said, sometimes you keep forgetting. She's like, oh, I just kind of should just defeat this Wyvern in one shot. Oh, never mind. I actually, so
Narrator.
I missed what happened in what was in the Baron trash can. What did we have in there today?
That was a wizard shirt. So not a key item, but a decent item nonetheless.
Not bad. Gonna give Rydia a little bit more power, but yeah, this Wyvern giving all of our runners a little bit of trouble, which is kind of entertaining. Mike, gonna be doing the Sea Hero part of the last fight alone with Rydia again.
Oh, Gauntlet! Oh, Gauntlet!
Would actually be really entertaining, but also really good for this Rydia, because it's going to be a lot of XP, but not everyone else getting it. Hourglass 2, really good. Hey, those fights now just got freer.
Ooh.
Sparkle.
Ooh. Paled him? Ew!
Ooh.
Ew!
Oh no, that's actually pretty bad.
Oh!
So, Plague may be the only boss that... I mean, this Leviathan is going to take care of it pretty decent, I forgot. But Plague may be the only fight solo that is much harder than with a group, because usually you want to have 3 Berserkers and just have them go to town and you clog the queue. If you're on your own, you're not clogging a queue. It's a 1v1 me, bro, and sometimes you can straight up lose that. But again, Leviathan just kind of goes blog and gone.
Yeah, that... Plague right there is definitely one of those where it's like you see it and you're like, oh no, oh yeah, we're fine. This is fine, TM.
Yeah, thankfully this seed gave Mike, and pretty much everyone else everything they need to make Rydia, again, the star. We were talking about this in the preamble before we went hot mic, that if you don't have both times, if you don't have a Dragon or Leviathan, Rydia is going to be not quite dead weight, but she's going to lose a lot of her value. But this Leviathan showing off how it's like, yeah, it's a double NP Quake, but when you don't have Quake, it's way better than nothing.
Agreed. And actually, quick thought, I know there was Mike one of the people that picked up the lightsaber for Cecil?
He was, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
the
good.
lightsaber was also in that, like I said, that right side of
the Baron Inn? Oh, yeah.
Was like the best thing that could have happened to these runners. You had stuff for Rydia, you had stuff for Kane, you had stuff for Cecil that we know is in the seed that we get to look at, and it's just like everything is been given to you for a nice little supply. The only thing that has not been given to us has been an easy underground access. Again, we have Magus Sisters now, so it's going to be, like, with this squad, not really big of a problem. And then Baron Castle makes, again, we have everything that's going to just make this hook route way easier than expected.
Agreed. And actually, think about that. We do see our 5 characters. That looks like that's who we're bringing on the hook route. We've found Demus not get Magma Key. So Magus Sisters, not so bad. But are there any bosses in the King Queen spot, which is a very punchy spot, that could give this party pause?
That we have not seen yet. The
By
big ones that would going to be very brutal to see there. Mom Bomb actually make it even worse. The reason being is you no longer now have just 6,000 HP. You have 16,000 HP to get through. Those would be my top 2 contenders. Anything that is single HP and punches a lot. Pale Dim wouldn't be a problem because we do have that Dragoon armor. So it's, again, we have okay options. It's just nothing is really, honestly, scary for this team.
Golbez?
Golbez would be more annoying than hard. The magic stat there, I think, is very medium. It is just a very quick spot.
That's true. And looks like Neon is styling with the Sylph Summon right there to take out that Mom Bomb. Or not, jeez, Mom Bomb. The Plague on the Brain. CNC is going and taking on Plague. And looks like our Moboy and Mike are I believe, heading to Baron. But in the meantime, as much fun as Dathis and I like to have talking to each other and try not to get ourselves banned back to the restreaming room, I did want to give a quick shout out to the people behind the scenes that are actually they're the ones doing work. We're just talking. Shout out to our tracker Lamia Harp and our restreamer D Schmoot. They're doing some great jobs. Give them some likes, follows, love. Give likes, follows, and love to the runners. And I guess you can give some love to Death as he does some pretty heckin' cool streams. So shout out to him and his wonderful Ogopogo content.
Look, I love me some Canadian Nope Noodles, and of course, obviously give Asuka a little bit of a shout out for the lovely commentary that she does, the restream work that she does, as well as all the lovely different rando runs, known more for having games hidden on her and for some other really interesting and entertaining games.
Look, I rest my case.
Very true, very true. But we do have some runners getting through and knocking down some walls. That Leviathan is just such a powerhouse. Is knocking down the Rydia, but we do have some easy hits. Copying Chocobos not only is getting through the top of that ordeal, is only getting that hourglass, and I say only but could be beneficial later, but it's also getting himself the necessary paladin.
I will say it's been impressive seeing that Ogre Axe Sid do some work on Molboy's screen. And yeah, just going back to that, just having a massive HP pool compared to the rest of the party, taking a direct shot from Evil Wall from the front row and still, well, standing, as opposed to Rydia, who not so much. Yeah, getting that Sid is definitely helping in this particular scenario. And as I say that, Sid creepily goes to sleep. Heck.
And speaking of sleep, hey, Slumber Sword. Not
Hey.
a great item, but we do have some nice items like the Lilith Rod. Gonna make Palom just that much more powerful when we do eventually get him to Quake. And seeing what this hook route is, I almost guarantee copying Chocobos is going to be full looting Eblin, going to be getting a bunch more stuff for his characters, as well as just kind of running around with the rest of the gauntlet is, because that is honestly, at this place you're like, I need some XP, so we're going to be taking all these ogre fights. Even without the life glitch, which is not on, which is a big item missing, you're still going to get more than enough XP than what you think you could deal with. Oh, and we got a Poison X2 on the Cecil? Yeah, we have more than enough to take care of anything here.
My question to you is, would you go and check the character on the moon? With this party and knowing what's awaiting you?
The only reason that I would be I would save here after doing a quick fight. Actually, no, I wouldn't even do the fights here. I'd save here, check the character on the moon. If it is not exactly a Palom, a Porum or a Edge, I would leave them there. Be like, we'll deal with you later, and then come back. Because the big thing is, you get Edge a couple levels, he can start stealing sirens, and then there's your grind. If it's a Porum, then you start working on your reflex strats at that point. You would ditch, and I love my boy, but I would ditch the Cane, get Porum up, get her to white, which is a slower spell, yes, but that's like the set of what you're looking at for the end of your team. And the reason why you keep Cecil is for, as we show here, cover being absolutely wonderful and going to make a lot of fights just super easy.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, particularly with cover strats, it's so easily forgotten or not even noticed by people that haven't used it already. It is so powerful, but there's little caveats here and there that you have to remember to not do when you're covering. But yeah, as long as you keep that Cecil over critical HP, he is going to protect whoever you want, and you'll see that Palom is totally safe at this point in time. Unless there's like a vampire or whatnot that just happens to target it. At that point, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Is, for example, like these skeletons, they do cast lightning, so it does really hurt. And if this Palom gets hit by that, that really is unfortunate. But again, Palom gets a couple XPs. That's a virus. We're getting up to samurai arrows. We're getting him closer to the Quack Kid online, and when that happens, that's going to be a very scary time for these Magus sisters. He did burn the Hourglass too, which is a little unfortunate, but early XP now, better than, hey, maybe I'll need this later.
Agreed. And actually, something that was brought up in chat. Normally, it, we've seen actually not normally, but words are hard. We've seen some surprisingly rude bosses early. Now there's still a good smattering of them later on potentially, but that should be a little bit of a sigh of relief for our runners once they're able to get past them, knowing that hey, evil wall out of the pool, bye bye. Hey, wyvern's gone. It's an objective, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. In like a super rude spot, cool, bye. That Magus sisters, yeah, that's going to be annoying, but they're not somewhere else. So, as in exchange, we haven't found our King and Queen Evelyn. We haven't found our Baron guards. We haven't found our Kaipo guards. We found Bahamut, unfortunately, but those slightly easier boss fights are kind of on the table. So, for our runners, that might be a little bit of a kind of incentive to be like, okay, if we can get through this early, hopefully things are going to be a little bit easier later on.
So, yeah, speaking of easier, we do have Mike. He is going to be doing, we're talking about going up to the moon, while we have Neon Gray kind of trading old ground and getting through Baron Castle. I do have a question for you, though. As we saw
42.
on Coffee and Chocobo's side, I didn't do anything. It's what Coffee and Chocobo's was doing. You saw him using the poison axe as an item, not only just to cast poison, but like, never mind, he's going to stop doing that in a second. That was an X-Cal. That Cecil is just absolutely online.
Yeah.
So to continue what I was saying, he was using the poison axe as an item as opposed to, attacking or maybe even defending with Cecil to protect his team. What was he doing? Why would he do such a thing? Why not just let Cecil cover?
I'm the idiot. You're the smart person that actually races well. You tell me.
All right. So the reason why is because cover only works in a specific. It works on critical HP. However, it does not work under two conditions. One, it does not work when he's defending, and it does not work when he is berserked. So while he's defending, he's more protecting himself as opposed to protecting others. So you use it as an item so you don't trigger any of the counterattacks. For example, that nasty silence counterattack, or the nasty paralyze from the counter slap, or from the bluster. So it does not give him any of the protection. That is back to Porum. I mean, I kind of called that up on the moon. That is the only thing I said I would ditch that cane for. I'd be very happy with bringing that to my team.
And see this again. This is why I put the two of us together. I don't know how to play this game. I'm a complete idiot. You're the smart one, so I'm actually learning things from you, Dathus. And unfortunately, that's now on record. But
look, hey, you run these seeds way more than I do. I think you're the one who ran the seed last, and I don't remember the last time I ran one.
And you are infinitely okay. Real talk, chat. Dathus is like he memes like the best of them, but he's really good at this game. Like straight up, really, really good at this game. He knows so much about this game.
Look, as the Hook 2 route winner through that bloodbath, I am openly going to say that I will say I am occasionally half decent and I make really good gambles. That's about the best you're going to get from me.
See, and I've never won a race, so there you go.
Look, you didn't gamble and had your opponent wipe. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But oh no, that's a really good question. Do we have quarter leg or do we have full leg here? Neither of those are going to be the greatest of options in this fight. But we do have Mike taking a really cheeky egg here. Going to be making good use of that hourglass.
If Kane survives.
Thing is, he's the only one who's going to survive hits, not only with 4 HP, but also because he has that Dragoon armor. So, because of that, he can take a hit from these gold dragons.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and especially the elemental resist. Look at how good that is.
That one King Ryu was very upset that it got hourglasses. Like, no, you no bad.
We do that outside.
What?
Neon Gray doing the looting of the rest of Baron, getting some okay items, and we do have Kane being back row glitched on Molboy's side, as we have the two of them going through and killing some imps. And Coffee and Chocobo's gonna be diving down deeper into that hook route, getting that Sid, and just saying, you know what, nah, I'm okay without him, and putting him to the wayside. I kind of agree. His team is fairly stacked right now, to be honest.
Yeah, that Excal Samurai Shield Cecil, he's good. He's good. My question though with Mike is, that Hourglass 2 is not a permanent stop. It's a longer stop than Hourglass 1, but will he be able to take out those King Ryus before they unstop?
I believe the stop is long enough that, especially with the amount of damage this Rydia is doing. Oh, and we got some cheeky twin cast going. Unfortunately, you need a little bit more int on the level 1 Palom and Porum to get through here. With the damage that you're getting through on Leviathan, I think it's going to be about 4 casts to get through it, which isn't bad. It's just going to be taxing on MP. If Rosa had Berserk, this would be a little bit better. But this is really cheeky, and I love this. But it's going to be a bit of time to get through it. This could make him slingshot him ahead in things, or it could put him a fair bit behind. The thing is, gutsy plays like this are really what Free Enterprise is about, in my opinion, though.
Agreed. And that was Leviathan number 3. Somebody did throw an ether onto Rydia, so she does have the more than enough MP. So if she can get this off, then awesome. Up and there's the first one down, and this next Leviathan should do it.
Absolutely. We got another bluff from Palom. Palom and Porum are going to be casting another twin cast. Probably not going to get through it. Not going to necessary, but still be good. And we do have Coffee and Chocobos through one of the trap chests. Gets an Hourglass.
Wow.
Online on one side, and we're about to get Quake Kid online on the other side too, especially with Rosa getting that
21 level.
Palom at 31, which means we have 2 Berserk casters. We have Quake casters. It's just really, really good.
In a way though, I feel like, okay, I almost feel bad that Mike doesn't have a Cecil yet, especially after making that cheeky play.
But the thing is if he brings Cecil in and say dumps Palom for him or dumps Cecil for him, oh, that's a nice freebie to get.
Nice.
Freebie-ish. I mean, he did get another Hourglass. This is going to be a little less than painful. And that Cecil is going to be taking next to no damage here. But it's going to be just overall really easy for CNC to get through here because Quake is just going to one-tap everything.
So is Excal.
Doesn't do it.
Okay, now here's my thing: is it looks like he's just going to take out the soldiers. Would it be worthwhile to try to take out the officer before it runs away, just to get the remainder of the XP there, or no?
So no, this is a 0 XP spot.
Ah.
So this is one of the times where normally I'm an advocate for get as much XP as possible, but because it is a 0 XP spot, you wouldn't really want to do about it. If you wanted to do a cheeky grind, which I wouldn't be doing here, you could, in theory, go after the Magus sisters here, kill one of the 2 smaller sisters, let them revive, especially if you can 1 or 2 tap them, and then just keep utilizing grind on here. But with Coffee and Chocobos, I think we're going to see Quake, we're going to see Leviathan, we may even see a Berserk Cecil, and that's really going to be the end of this fight.
Oh, he is swagging it right now, chat. Kudos to not saving. Anytime on Hookrite you don't save between the first and second boss fights, cheers.
Oh, absolutely. My hat's off 100% to anybody who's like, you know what, I'm going to take these fights one right after the other without really thinking about it and going through it. And speaking of going through, Moleboy through that fight, getting his Darkness Crystal as well, and getting his Palom. I'm going to see if he retools and removes anybody for him, though.
And then see, we do have Neon Gray heading up to the moon right now. Mike is going into Baron and getting the news that, oh yeah, by the way, there's a Cecil here too. But he's gonna show up as Paladin instead of a Dark Knight, which is pretty awesome because he's already done. Actually, everybody except Moleboy has done ordeals thus far, so we'll see where Mike takes that level 1 Cecil.
And see, that's the really big thing, is if Mike goes through and he knows, okay, so I have to do this, he grabs that Cecil and he knows the amount of XP you can get on this hook route through those trap chests, again, through Eblin and through Eblin Cave itself, especially with the team that he's going Berserkers, because he did not take, Moleboy's got the team Berserkers, but with the team that he's got, he can easily handle pretty much any chest there. The Sandman or the Stale Golems are going to be a little rough, but they'll still be easily killed with those Ogre Axes and Poison Axes he's got. but it's just going to be absolutely golden with getting through there. It's going to be really interesting if he takes it, because again, we know there's an X-Cal there, and we got Cess with a lot of HP. And hey, while we're talking about it, Coffee and Chocobos, just as we said,
Yeah.
Quake, Leviathan, X-Cal, gone. All that HP made absolutely just trivial.
And something you didn't see with CNC, because he just like wrecked that particular fight, is with the Magus Sisters, you can inadvertently / accidentally do a Magus Sisters grind. The middle sister, she has the ability to cast Recover, and if either of her sisters are dead, she brings them back. And that's something that can make a hey, hi Sushi, can kind of make a rude fight even ruder, because then you have to constantly go through that HP over and over and over and over again. But again, with essentially hook route power overwhelming, CNC's like, nah, I'm good. I just want to go underground at 47 minutes. So with that, the entire world is now open for CNC. Aside from the obligatory freebie and Fey March, I wonder where he's going to be going next.
And Moleboy is actually runner 3 for... Oh, no, wow, he had just enough damage on a nice high roll. I was going to say, he's runner 3 for 4, who is going to Leviathan and get counter-nuked. But no, he gets through it. Zero problem. I'm very proud. I wanted to see Wyvern claim another victim, though. That would have been, again, just a little bit of entertainment for me.
And also with the swag, not saving, going right into that back attack Dark Elf. Considering how many bosses could be so rude in that spot, cheers to that.
Absolutely. I think the only one that's really scary back in the back attack right now would actually have been that Wyvern. The back attack Witchburn could be scary, but nothing else is really, I think, scary on the overworld in that spot, especially with the levels that he's got and the HP he's got in that Sid.
Ooh, so how about some music?
I'm always down for a little bit of tunage. We haven't had music go on recently because, again, it's a very out-of-the-way check. The only way I could see people taking this at a decent time would be to route in, say, you do that into Zot into Baron, but we've already done Baron. But that into Zot is still like a nice little kind of 2-for-1 check. I don't foresee a lot of music unless we absolutely have to.
I do like this play from CNC, though. Instead of going to Dwarf Castle, he is just going to be checking the Luca key. Now, with the sealed cave, using the Luca key to get into it, thing you will find out is what the key item is. Which, okay, cool. If it's not a key item you need, so if it's not the adamant, if it's not the legend sword, if it's not the pan, if it's not the earth crystal, or if it's not the pass, at this point you can just completely reset out of it. We found our Demus, we found our Wyvern, we're not looking for any other particular boss there. So it's also out of the way, and it takes a little bit to get to that check, but it is a really, really nice, effectively free check that CNC is making.
Speaking of free, Neon Gray making good use out of his free hourglass and is going after another trap chest. I think I was using his hourglass. Going after the hairdryer's chest, or the Polykite and Jukalite chest, and going for another tier 8 item, as well as the possibility of some good loot. Or, sorry, they are going for a good chest at the possibility of good loot and some great XP. These enemies give a fair chunk, to be completely honest.
I always forget about the hair dryers. I always do. And I see people do it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I should have gone there, shouldn't I? Heck. Well, I guess I concede that one, and then people pull out like crystal swords and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm dumb.
No. You're not. What you do is you just forget about it, or you make other decisions. Because again, there's no decision that is a bad decision or a dumb decision. It is a decision that, with the information we have at the time, is more beneficial or less beneficial.
Ooh.
It's not something shiny you take from that.
No.
I do agree with CNC escaping because we don't need a real reason to go there. Neon Gray, though, one quick Leviathan, everything's gone. And that is going to get Quack on the kid. And we are going to see, maybe we get ourselves a crystal sword. CNC's got the X-Cal. Do we get a crystal?
We get a light.
A little tie down. Sorry, a little tier down than that.
But I'm not sure if Neon had the light sword to begin with. I know they don't have the X-Cal right now, so it's still a really good pickup on Neon's side.
Absolutely. It is absolutely wonderful and pretty solid. Again, getting up to Quake and Virus on the Quack Kid, super good for later on. That is a free fight that we have in Dwarf Castle, though.
Oh yeah, and there's actually multiple ways you can go about this. The Baron guards, they're physical users, but they're also mages. You can mute them, you can size them, you could just toad them outright, you can stone them, and they're pretty much useless. With the guards, though, you can see the piggies are no longer working because the mute bell has been cast. They can still hit like a truck. And so that's why toad stone's usually the best way to go with them. But still, this works just fine, especially with an Excal Cecil.
Yeah, so the thing that a lot of people don't understand or don't really see is that you don't really see Calcabrina itself. So you don't see, the stats on that character. That boss has extremely high attack for the time. So if it gets there, it just kind of turns and bops you, which is why these guards are doing the same. The attack stat is fairly strong. Mind you, a couple of hits and this thing's gone, so not a big deal. But like if they, again, as we saw, a hit on Rydia, which is probably the best punching bag we can have. It's like, hey, look, there's hey, look, take this. You're still gonna get XP. That's free HP damage.
Yeah, we get to see. Let's see the Hi, Ashura.
Nice, one mute enemy to another mute enemy.
Yeah,
probably what you want to see, to be honest.
and
another forum.
So it's like you can fight for your Porum, or you can not fight for your Porum.
Wow, CNC ditching Hallam for his sister. I'm seeing some berserkers going here, not doing a hybrid strat. Gonna probably just be like, hey, Cecil Kane, Rosa Porum, and Rydia doing things.
We also found out who is actually at Cave Value. It is 100% leg day with good old Ruby. What are your thoughts of Ruby at Cave Value?
So I like Ruby at Cave Value, even though he does have a punch in his hit. In his kit for the AI, so it is a little scary. He's quick. The magic stat here is nothing to scoff at. Just for a little bit of context, that Kane, I'm pretty sure, still rocking a Dragoon armor and hit for 1200. So that's showing just how much damage is here. The really nice thing about this squad, though, as we said, there is a punch in his script. There it is. The really nice thing is he does not counter magic, or he does not counter the jump command. So Cecil and so Kane, Rydia, Hallam, they're all going to be just destroying this Rubicante.
Yeah, and for it being a surprisingly hold that thought. CNC has found a required key item with the pan coming out of Dwarf Castle.
That is very, very big. If this pan especially leads into something that leads us to Zot, whether it's directly or indirectly, that is going to make Dwarf like super high required. Right now, it's partially required, not 100%. But I'm really excited to see where things go, though.
And even though the K-Summon flag is off, as soon as CNC heads back to Yang's wife, you actually get two key item checks. The first one, you can activate whether or not you have the pan. You come down here, you wave high, you like throw whatever you want at Yang, and it activates what we call Sheila 1. Sheila 2 is if you do what CNC is doing, you bop Yang with the pan. That activates the second check, and you will see them in order. You don't get the two key items at the same time. First, Sheila will say, oh, he's underground. And then you'll get Sheila 1, and then you turn in the pan, like, oh, here, take this with you. And boom, you get Sheila 2. So this could be massive. If it's like Earth Crystal and Legend Sword, I will lose it at this point in time.
Absolutely. Also, a restreamer asking for Scythe Marshal asking for an Ether 2 check. There were 10 Ether 2s in that inventory. That is going to be more than enough to get through a lot of these fights. You can just keep putting them into Hallam and Rydia, and they will just get through eventually. This is now a fight of attrition. You have to hope that Cecil doesn't get hit by Glare, and he can continue to cover pretty much anybody else who's weak. And Cecil's big job is going to continue to feed the two kids some ethers so that they can keep doing their magic-y things.
Yeah, as much as good a blink as Blink is, or as good of a thing as Blink is, it does nothing to stop the glare. But meanwhile, we get to see the first Sheila 1 check, and that is the pass. So we do have quick Z access and the tower key. So that is effectively one of the easiest spots in the game, which is fantastic. And it does potentially point our runners to check out that tower. And it's also an objective because, well, that's kind of why we're here.
Absolutely. Again, quick way up to Z, as well as another key item check. Absolutely fantastic items to see. I mean, kind of just in general, really. Neon Gray still there making really good work through here, whereas Moleboy did take that trap chest, going to get the lightsaber. Good XP on his characters.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We'll see where Moleboy is going next. And let's see what is CNC doing right now? Just healing people up, it looks like.
Probably going to be making a shot at that, either that tower key or maybe even going. I don't know. I didn't see where they had where he's landed. So
I believe tower or tower babble.
Yep. So we got the underground. You'll be getting a good round in through there. Whereas we have Neon Gray is they're continuing to do the run through of Lucante. Again, the fight is unlocked. The war of attrition. I'm really excited to see what else comes out of this. But
Oh
Mike
gosh!
Finally going underground after getting some levels, getting some teams, and feels like he's got the power to get through there too.
And again, we've started to see more free bosses. There are still so many free bosses on this table, and I am really looking at King Queen Evelyn. That's pretty much a free fight in all but maybe like one or two very niche situations. If that's somewhere just with massive amounts of XP, that could be huge if our runners just happen to make a cheeky play and look elsewhere.
And it's just saying that we have Dishamu saying King Queen Evelyn going to be wasted on Cannon Room. I'm going to counter that a little harder. King Queen Evelyn going to be wasted on either Odin or King Queen in Fey March.
Ooh, yeah. And to answer your question, I don't think we looked at the Fey March bosses today.
That would be correct. CNC has not checked the Fey March bosses, got the free key item, checked the item, and pieced out. This is a boss you don't mind seeing here. It's not a punchy spot. It's an okay speed spot, but Octomam going to be kind of smacked around. We do have Neon Gray. They got through the fight. I am super GG's and props to that. Nicely done. Honestly, putting on a decent clinic, getting through a lot of their inventory. Aside from getting through it, gets an objective and gets some more HP for that porn.
Ooh! How about Golbez that paled him?
That's actually, I don't think, the worst. I think that spot has some okay magic stats. But yeah, it's not exactly what you're kind of wanting to see. Golbez anywhere is just like such a pain.
I mean, yeah, anytime you want to fight Golbez, it does require, well, it's beneficial to do a setup to only have two characters alive going into that fight. But yeah, it does require burning a Star Veil, and Star Veils are kind of pretty rare around here. And interesting strat that Moleboy is doing. Moleboy is actually looting. Got a nice cat claw from one of those chests. We'll see. I have a suspicion that Moleboy is going to be heading to the D-Lunar altar, which I am 100% here for a bold play like this every day of the week.
Absolutely. So here's the real question. When you go to the moon, what is your preferred strategy of going? Do you subscribe to the middle out? Do you go bottom up? Or are you one of the top downers like myself?
Okay, if I'm doing a K trap, like async or race or whatnot, I go middle out because I assume that other people will be like sandwiching, and otherwise I'm usually a bottom up person unless I'm just looking for like one thing or like one boss.
Just do that. Speaking of looking for one thing, that we have an adamant on the side of Coffee and Chocobos. That means tower is half required. If this tower key is the other half, full tower requirement, that means that I believe the pan give the tower key, which means you get a lot of fun.
That is a very, very, very spicy chain if it's found there. I'm still always a part of the team always harp, so I'm hoping there is required. I'm hoping the legend sword at this point's behind the harp, but we do get to see who you found Baigan.
Oh wait, where was that Baigan? I wasn't looking. Tell me that's at the.
That was Wyvern.
Ooh,
Oh,
this is not that bad. The attack stat here is kind of okay. You've got Leviathan, you've got Quake. You kind of don't really care about the arms, to be honest.
yeah, the magic. Yeah. That's any. I put Vigan in the same category as a lot of rude bosses, where I see him and I'm like, oh, that's not good, and then I have to remind myself where I'm looking at Vigan. And then sometimes it's either like, oh, okay, this is no big deal, or okay, where's my reset button? Let's go elsewhere. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. We did see Mylon and friends, I believe, in the Super Cannon room, so that was a pretty quick fight from CNC's side. So he's going to be walking out that last key item, and we are going to find out who is at the Plague Altar today.
Absolutely. Neon Gray does happen to find that, hey, Golbez is a little scarier than you thought. We have an
Please be
alt
required.
gauntlet.
Now, here's the thing. It's of the alt gauntlets, I'd rather see it there than, oh, I don't know, Ogopogo. That was when you see a not boss and a normal type. Oh, hi, friend. That's okay.
Speaking of free,
You want to talk about a mood swing? You have the alt gauntlet in the plague spot, and then you have the freest of free in one of the biggest EXP spots in the game.
To be
Nice.
honest, I would be very tempted to save this for later. Like, your Moleboy's rocking 5 key items right now. We have Coffee and Choco's rocking 8, I think that is.
10.
Is that
The
10?
CNC just picked up the rat tail from the
okay.
Super Cannon room.
Yeah, so that's 10 key items. That would be what I'd be like, okay, now I'd be really tempted, especially with his knowledge. Come back here, because that is XP that you're like, okay, I don't need that grind. And
Ooh.
that's just a personal thing, though.
So, side note, the rat tail did just give a samurai bow. It is a nice bow. Do not get me wrong, but that's still not a key item. That being said, Moleboy is going to be showing us not one but 2 key item checks from the D Lunar Altar. See what's there. That'd be funny if that was required or double required. Heck.
Could you imagine if we got exactly Earth Crystal and Legend Sword here?
Oh my god.
This would be the biggest heads up. Like, I would leave. I'd be like, nah, we gotta go back to Earth.
Well,
Ranked and Earth. Halfway. I'll still take it.
Okay. So, do you peek the Ogopogo spot? I would. I wouldn't necessarily fight it, but I would peek it.
With those extra levels, I would be very, very tempted. Your power is still in a very rough spot, and you could kind of get through a lot of it. But I'm definitely saving. Actually, you know what? With the gear he's got and everything, I would take it. Yeah, go save,
Actually,
go in, and I think you could do it.
Hey, Dathis, did you notice something?
What?
We're in no mode.
We are, as a matter of fact.
We are.
The only thing we're missing is technically the Legend Sword to know where everything is. Sorry, the Legend Sword. But we know everywhere that's required. We know that the pan is required to get the adamant for that, which was behind Baron?
Yeah. Dwarf. It was behind Dwarf.
Castle. Yes, that's right. So Dwarf Castle is required to get the pan key item. We also then need to go and do Cave Bahamut, and we need to go and fight
Octoman
Wyvern
at top of tower.
Yeah, and
or top of tower. And Adamant had. We are officially in no mode. Heck.
That is a scary jet seed. So it was, Baron. So it was Baron Inn, Dwarf Castle, and the Waterfall and Ordeal. So those are the only 4 locations we needed to really go, aside from King Queen Evelyn and This is not fun, because this stat not only has like half decent magic, but it's also got really okay attack. This is gonna take a while.
Oh, my buggy-eyed boy! Yeah, I love it. Look how ugly that face is, and it's creepy, and it punches so hard.
Yeah, this is not a fun spot to find like a lot of things. However, we do believe have Coffee and Chocobos going for a possible B money grind, as we see some talk in chat going on here. Actually, no, it wouldn't be D money. It'd be maybe a Mac Giant grind, considering what we have.
That's what it kind of looks like. Was also mentioned in chat is given again. This is we know everything because we're seeing multiple people race at once. But to those that know where the Alt Gauntlet is, that also makes a surprisingly good grind, especially for a Zerker team. You don't need to hyper level up your characters to get to Nuke and White and whatnot, but you just need your Zerkers to be able to take a punch and give a punch. So that's a thought too. Like maybe save that fight for later.
And the really nice thing is, especially having with Cecil with either a lightsaber or a crystal sword, sorry, the Excalibur, the first couple of fights, as we see, good chunk of like 3k plus damage.
Oh yeah, and Neon is doing a heck of a good job in that Alt Gauntlet right now. Ooh, however, we do have what looks like a music. No, it's not a music check. It doesn't have harp.
I believe that's still Mike.
Oh, that's an Earth Crystal check.
Yeah. Yep, we have the Earth Crystal going. Are we going to check a treasury? We are going to have a treasury being rated. Unfortunately, we don't have the lovely music queued, but we will, in fact, rate that treasury. So I'm excited to see what's in here.
Yay! Everyone shout out for Dallas being one of the voices on the. Oh, hi Tiara.
So from what we know, what bosses we have left, that Runak's a little late to the party, but still really good.
Another Artie Bow.
Artie Bow, very
Sorkrobes, okay.
Okay, you got me. It's a solid like 5-6 out of 10 right now.
It's like you have another cat claw in case you wanted to start putting cat claws on your feet for characters that you don't have.
Or Yang.
Well, we have a Yang at home. It's called we defeated him at Baron.
That is very true. He in fact gave us our starting item.
For the edge on the party.
Yeah, for the edge nut here. More Yang stuff.
Oh,
Overall,
hi Siren.
Bad.
Ooh, black robe.
Yeah, black robe for the Rudia if you really want. Solid 5 or 6 out of 10. It's gonna
first half out of 10.
The Artie Bow on that Sid is going to be very, very nice, though.
Agreed. Interesting thought with Rosa. We don't really have a good white mage staff for her right now. The power staff is really good for zerking characters and doing physical damage, but it does nothing to help her white magic stats, her light stat.
I did see a silent staff and copying Chocobo's inventory. He may have looted a little more heavily in Cave Eblin and gotten that. So there is that. Whereas Neon Grey, they've gotten through the fight and going to get their free Earth Crystal as well. Whereas we have Mike down in Dwarf Castle going to be doing a little bit more purchasing.
And hopefully if he takes on those fights, he will find... Oh, no, he does have his pan. So I'm just going to hush right up there. It's like, hey, he can go do Dwarf Castle. And oh, he did.
Yep, checks a little bit of looting, says, no, I'm good here, and then is going to be going probably to check Feymarch if he hasn't done so already, and then go and bop a monk. But looks like he has checked Feymarch and is bopping a monk.
Meanwhile, we do have Moleboy showing us our Earth Crystal checks for the first time. We get 2 bosses, a key item, and a free character. Looks like Moleboy is also maybe hunting for a Flame Doggo.
I would be very tempted to grab the chests on the way down because it's two chests you can grab, 2 shots at getting the trap chest, another shot at getting an Excalibur, a Crystal Sword, which I don't believe Moleboy has checked Evelyn Castle. So did lose out on that, but overall still very solid team that he's got going.
Yeah, I think CNC is the only one that's gotten the
Mike
the
Excel.
Well. Mike got as well. Perfect. Let's see here. Shout out to Neon Grey. They're taking on the Antlion. I mean, the thing is with Antlion is those counters are massive. I mean, it's a very punchy boss, and this is a very punchy spot. But you can mitigate some of Antlion's damage by getting rid of those counters. And you do that by, quite honestly, not using the fight command. It's a little hard to do with a more Zerker-orientated party, but things like Kane's Jump, any spell, any summon, that works to prevent those counters. Also, what Neon Gray is doing right now with the blink on Cecil and then having Cecil cover is absolutely genius and taking a lot of damage away from Antlion as well. So I see Neon's amazing at this game, and they've started doing some really cool strats and tech that really nobody else is doing right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had a trick in their back pocket for dealing with Antlion. So I totally see them getting through this fight right now.
Absolutely. It's really interesting when you see the runners take on some of the strats. It's like, hey, speaking of, we have a Mom Bomb, it looks like, in the Maga Sister spot. So that's about 20k HP to chew through, which, I mean, with this team, absolutely going to be making very short work of it. You might not see the bombs, but I'm going to be very quick. CNC is getting through that grind still, is done their grind finally, and getting the last little jump off, and we have a good time. You see how much XP? 5? That's about 1,000,000 XP right there. That Rydia is going to be nice and XP up.
And that Rosa got the white spell, so she's good to go. We'll see if Rydia gets her nuke, and it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, she may have fallen just a little bit short, probably about 1 or 2 levels. But the thing is, there's still a couple of spots that you have to get through. He has not done Cave Bahamut. He has not gone and done King Queen Eblin, so there is still a lot of XP on the table. And even if he didn't go all the way, nothing wrong with shorting your grind, because as we can see, there is still a lot of XP on the table that is, quote, required here. Oh, hey, look, a second Cecil that we can't take.
So those things you love to see it. And a second Sid. All right.
Tower of Zadot, more like Tower of Dupes. But we do have Moleboy gonna see exactly what that boss up here is. Probably still like teams, if you got these characters early on, really nice to find. They're again your bruisers, they're berserkers, and with the items that have been in the seed, things that have kind of put them online and gotten them to status.
Oh
wow!
Tower
of freebies too.
When the free is required.
I mean, we were talking about all the free fights. We've in fact seen all of them right now. We've seen Dark Elf. We've seen the Double Guards. We've seen the Kaipo Guards. We've seen the Water Hag. We've seen King Queen Evelyn. We've seen all 5 free fights. But we also are going to see what your boy DJ Spoony B is going to be playing with some rockin' tunes, because we have some new ones out there now. So this is where we get some exciting new music, maybe.
We're just gonna say it's the battle music.
I love this rearrangement of the battle theme. Just give us a second, folks. Gonna have audio switched around in just a moment. Again, huge shout out to Dishmu, who's not done a 4-person race before. These are a lot trickier than what you might expect, so getting some stuff moved around is not exactly as easy as you may think.
And we did see out of the Tower free, we got the package, which isn't necessarily useful right now, but it is a requirement, or it's an objective reward, so we'll take it. But yeah, for a restreaming standpoint, I mean, Deathus and I are usually chained to the basement that is restreaming, and it's tough, but yeah, it's just one of those things. But I will say, if you're interested in helping out the restream team, we'd love to have you. You can do restreaming, you can track races like our wonderful Amy Harp is doing. You can do commentary like somehow Deathus and I are doing right now. We're always looking for people to come on, have fun. And even if you don't know a whole lot of the inner workings and like super technical stuff with the game, that's fine. We'll teach you. I mean, I actually learned a lot of this game just by joining the Raystream team, and there's still so much to go, but still, it is a great opportunity that you should definitely check out.
Absolutely. Between the knowledge base in the newbie corner, as well as just like you can ask questions and everything's fine. It's just really nice. Like everybody here who's wonderful and helpful. Again, restreaming, very technical, really easy once you get it done. But your first few times is it's just like, hey, you're not used to it, and it's a whole bunch of just a whole bunch of this technical stuff you got to get down, which we can teach. We are always willing to teach and always willing to help out. And there's also, it's not always just the restring fault. Sometimes there is some audio in some issues with runners' audios, as we have seen from Bishmu. Mike Mike's audio is coming in with low and maximum gain. So it was just an audio issue. Not a big deal. Again, most likely another runner is going to make the check, or we can get someone else to make the check for it after the race is done, which is wonderful about that. As well, we do have the Adamant Harp being the Legend Sword, so that is the other half of our Go mode, which is going on right there. Neon Gray did get through that fight, only getting the Magma Key, so that Antlion, good amount of XP, not really required. Moleboy, it looks like they're finally he's finally getting first. They are finally going to be going down into this hook route. Did see that Silent Staff get some good items here, whereas Coffee and Chocobos seeing that form again and probably going to be saying, nah, I'm good without this. But yeah, we are 100% in no mode, and we have a whole bunch of locations to really go.
And of course, with CNC, it's the nice thing. As soon as he gets to the D-Lunar spot, gets that Earth Crystal, watch how fast CNC just heads right back to Earth after that point.
Yeah, see, and that's the real question. Like, obviously, you're going to check D-Lunars because it's 2 checks, but would you be tempted to check, like, another location first? Like, maybe go just straight top down and do a check through there and be like, hey, maybe it's his first check, maybe it's his second check. Who knows, really? Like, there's a whole bunch of just options. Options are, in fact, optional.
Yeah, with and yeah, it does look like CNC is going to be going the top-down method, or the Dathus strategies, which turns out this time you're wrong. Bottom up is the way to go. Yeah.
60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, well, the people with many leather-bound books are the ones that go bottom up.
This is very, very true. That is, yep, you.
Yep. You know, I will be honest, it's always fun whenever I can one-up you on something.
I do enjoy watching people one-up me. It's very entertaining. Speaking of one-up, Golbez, or Coffee and Chocobos is in fact going to be doing that top-down. So subscribes to that philosophy, but we know that there's going to be nothing but a whammy here.
I mean, we get to see everybody's favorite comedian, and it's unless you are literally moonlighting as a Lunarian with World of Warcraft style shoulder pads, that's Golbez, not you. But we still love you. For certain, like with an asterisk and like that double cross and stuff.
Look, I have big shoulder pads when I play Titan, or whenever I'm playing another Final Fantasy 14.
You are a Titan!
Look, it's fun, okay?
You are a bubble boy!
No, I yeet. There's a difference.
I laugh in Nova Bomb.
That's still not getting buffed next season.
I don't need it to be buffed to kick your bubble butt.
We do have Neon Gray gonna be taking their path up, gonna be going through the Earth Crystal themselves, whereas we have Moleboy going through getting the underground route fully finished, and Coffee and Chocobo's gonna see what this Golbez is.
Also, there was a comment in chat that has to be stated. If Golbez became a paladin, he'd be a Globez. I love it.
That is very good. I do enjoy that.
That's a good one. Oh geez, those quad 9s though. That's This is why you Starveil and Golbez fight. So much damage.
Yeah, so the thing is it's all the magic stat that he has, plus the fact that Golbez is fire weak. You do not want to see that happen.
Agreed. And the thing is that some people forget or might not know is, yeah, you can do all this massive reflected damage to Golbez, but you still have to boop them at least once. Because if you don't boop them and do damage yourself, ooh, that is a nice pickup for Kane on CNC's side. Holy heck.
Yeah, that's a good loot there. But we do have Mike Bike, who is in no mode themselves. They do have access to that Cave Bahamut. They just got their forge, so we're gonna see a Mist Whip. So it is nice. The really nice thing about these 4 to 5 flags is that we do see different paths to getting the crystal every once in a while. Yeah, sometimes the most efficient way is one way, but a different path to victory is still a path to victory.
Agreed. And I mean, just comparing our CNC and Mike to Neon Gray and Moleboy, having the pass versus not having the pass. I mean, you could have a faster route to the crystal, but your opponent could have a pass and you don't. Whereas with the pass, you can just go right to Troya, go to the pub there, and just take literally the express elevator to Z and save a whole bunch of time. Without the pass, you have to go the entire LST route, walking all the way down, question life choices, and it takes like 2.5 minutes to get there. So you're already giving your opponent 2.5 minutes if you don't find that pass, which can easily make the difference between winning and losing a seed.
Absolutely, and we do have Mike gonna get the item, the rat tail, from their hook, but is like, nope, this isn't important. I don't need this anymore, and is just going to grab this one other item. The rat tail is nice because I believe that also puts that at 10 key items. Yes, it does. So that means double XP for however he wants to do his grind, which is absolutely fantastic. And we are going to see what kind of goodies is in the Coca-Cola shop too. We could have some power
Ooh.
shirts here.
I always like to see the completely stocked and you can't afford everything because it's so stocked shop. Hi. Like I said, protect
Those
ring,
ribbons are gonna be really nice.
The crystal ring, depending on what Rydia's... At this point, I would absolutely be looking at Rydia's agility and saying, okay, what am I putting on her for the Z fight? And is this crystal ring going to be going on her ring finger as well? Because that's a difference of 5 agility right there. That can make a difference between a really bad, fast Z fight and a pretty mellow Z sprite.
Also, we were talking about agility or good weapons for Rosa. There were some light staves in there for both Porum and Rosa, so those are really good items just to have in general. Gonna make them better for not only their magic defense, especially Porum with her lower HP, but also make those cures just that bit stronger when necessary to have them both pound those out.
Agreed. And actually mentioned in chat, I believe Mike did find a cursed ring. So that Rydia is going to be putting that on and lose 15 agility right there and be done with it. Yeah, cursed rings, especially with the latest update, they became a little bit more expensive because, well, they are so, I don't want to say game breaking, but they are so beneficial with doing some proper anchoring of your teams. So it's still a very worthwhile pickup. And yep, there's the cursed rings in Fey Marches. Moleboy is showing us right now with even that shop, leather robes aside, that's not bad.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really good shops actually, interestingly enough, the summons have the best shops because there are black belts for sale in Mist, and then you got the bandanas and strength ring combination here. So between those two shops, the Land of Summons has all the damage for berserkers. I'm sorry, isn't that a little backwards? Shouldn't there be nothing but mage gear there?
Well, the thing is with Free Enterprise, or not just Free Enterprise, just Final Fantasy IV, because this is a finely crafted and coded video game. If it's a very high magic boss, it has very poor magic stats. So it makes sense that a very mage heavy area has really good physical gear because of the logic.
You know what? I can't really fault that logic. That's really solid. But we do have Coffee and Chocobos going to be just ready to tick off their very final round here. Going to be getting the last objective done. And we do have Neon Gray swapping the team around, getting themselves a Porum instead of the Palom. Palom, you've done your job here. You're done. And we are going to just go through the rest of the seed with a couple of healers and a couple of berserkers.
And honestly, this flag set has definitely really shown the benefit of a Zerker double white mage party. I mean, yes, I should say, thankfully, we haven't seen a Telos, so we haven't seen the 80-year D-money grind, which takes forever because the life glitch is off. But in this case, it's having that second white mage, essentially having that second berserk cast, just makes fights so much faster and so much easier to manage. Even an hour and 26 minutes in and getting that second white mage, they'll have plenty of time to just boot up that Porum to some good levels.
The thing is yeah, berserkers I've always been a very big fan of, but especially with the higher tier of loot that we're seeing here. Oh, hey, look, a free curse ring in Warp Castle, by the way.
Nice.
Don't have to spend your money on it. But the nice little benefit as well is that even with the life glitch off, making the D-money grind or even the Mac Giant grind not beneficial, there's finally a couple of spots where also pointed out in chat.
You noticed that
Neon
too?
Gray never went underground. They saw that darkness went, hey, we're going up to the moon. Big shoutouts and props to that, as a matter of fact, for being that heads up to saying we're going up to space as opposed to going underground.
Places where capitalism has not taken over are really, really beneficial. And this goes right into your comments about taking different routes. I mean, look at CNC and Neon Gray. They both have 3 objectives. They have a slightly different objective scheme, but there's not much difference between the two of them right now. So it goes to show you, like, there are so many different places that you can go and things can work out. I mean, for instance, Neon's got that magma key, so yeah, they didn't even have to go in the hook route. They just blew up a mountain, which you'd think would be a little bit more difficult, or you just throw a key down a well and boom.
And the really nice thing is in a qualifier like this with the wide spread that we have of runners, bold plays like that can actually net you a very high placing, because it's like, oh, people won't go to the moon, it's not required. Fade moon, it's never moon. Like, there's so many things we joke around, so many memes about the fact that the moon is just somewhere you don't go, where it's it's entirely required this seed. So
yeah.
The fact that you're not going there and you're not finding that kind of stuff, you're kind of losing out on a lot if you leave it for like last locationing. It's the same thing as like when people do Fey March, when it's like really cheeky bosses or bosses you just don't want to see. You just go, okay, this isn't something I want, but adds a lot of value. Gambles, especially in wide margins when you're trying to make a specific cut, are what can win races. Like, yeah, obviously playing to your strengths or playing through basic ways are still really good too, but if you're looking to try and up your game, gambles are gigantic.
100% agreed. To answer a question from chat, first off, we did finally get to see who the Fey March bosses were. It is Leviathan at Ashura and then the Elements at Leviathan, but it makes sense that nobody's checked it or even taken those fights because case summon is off. So you are guaranteed to not get a key item from the Leviathan spot, the Ashura spot, the Sylph spot, so actually whacking gang with Pan, the Odin spot, and cave value. You really only have to go to those spots if it's, needed and free. That being said, I am going to mention that CNC has the pass. They have the crystal, and they are taking an express elevator somewhere, and it is nap time, so I'm going to go to sleep while Dathis explains why I'm going to sleep.
Well, you're going to sleep because it's a long trip, but we go to space! So as we go to space and yeet ourselves into the oblivion, we are going to find the other way to Zeromus that's not the path down. The strongest boss with that lovely Big Bang can't be put anywhere else, so instead of randomizing where he is, we randomize what he looks like. So, there's a couple of questions we need to ask. The first one I'll ask, the second one I'll leave to you, Asuka. Whose butt are we going to dine with this afternoon for lunch?
I hate the second question, so I'm going to do it my way. And is it a scary butt? I don't want it to be a cute butt. Bork the cute butts. Unless it's Zero Ward.
I was gonna say, Zero Ward is in fact in the pool, so it could be a cute butt.
I want it to be a scary butt. Because everyone else wants cute. I don't want to be like everyone else. Will it even have a butt? This is accurate.
This is true. I mean, everything has a butt if we're gonna kick enough butt.
Not everything has butt. Pong this? That doesn't have a butt. It's got a stick. Two, actually.
I mean, there's
See?
nothing wrong
That
with
doesn't have a butt!
Emperor Moose, in fact, has a butt somewhere way off
Where?
screen. You can't see it. You can only see the top down from the angle that we have.
so would you say that Emperors followed the strategy about going top down, found their required objective midway through and left?
Absolutely. That's exactly. See, Emperor Moose, this is how I roll my seeds. We get just top down. That's all you need to see.
Yeah, and if it would have gone bottom up, we would have seen the butt, which is awkward.
But yeah, as we mentioned, this is Emperor Moose from another Final Fantasy title, Final Fantasy Actual 2, not the 2/4 that we are playing here. Final Fantasy Japanese 2, good Final Fantasy, great music, and actually one of our admins who does most of the sprites, Skull Kitty. He's a very big fan of the game. So if you ever want to talk about it with her, you could feel free to do so.
As pointing out, Mike did just get his crystal, and all he really has to do is get a few levels on his characters. He should be good to go. But meanwhile, CNC is going to be just, well, doing a hybrid strategy of whites and some strong type people. Now, I will say that it's not just these four running the race. There is a heckin' lot of people in this race. We only want to focus on the four that are currently on the restream. But once everything is said and done, the way to qualify for the top 64 works is math, and I don't like math in my seats, so whatever. We'll let smart people explain that. But we will. The top 6 positions are the most important because that's what kind of things are based off of. Once we get through with our featured runners, then we will. If these aren't part of the top 6, we will mention the top 6 finishers overall for this particular race. Yeah. I hope that made sense.
It will make sense in the long run. I am really excited to see who some of the other runners are and where they actually pan out. Because again, we had a field of, I believe, 64 runners today. Very big, not our highest turnout, but still an extremely high turnout. Speaking of high turnouts, we have high damage rolls from that Rosa, popping a nice almost 8k on that white. We have Forum going to be doing reflected white as well. Damage here is just coming out fast and furious from this hybrid strat.
Yeah, I really don't see Emprimus long for this world. I wouldn't be surprised if this nuke just completely takes him out. Like I was saying.
So we have a crash, we have a bang, we have our first place finisher on stream. We're going to get the official placement overall in just a moment. That is Coffee and Chocobos taking 6th place today with an official race bot time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 48 seconds on the top 6 as we were talking about too. So that is where that part of the night cutoff point is. Very, very big there. GG's to Coffee and Chocobos, who's in fact joined us for an interview. Wonderfully run seed.
Hi, thank you.
So, what did you think about that? Will we consider it kind of a rude but not rude item-wise start for the game?
I didn't think it was too bad. I found enough loot to get that Blizzard Spear on Kane early, and then I, found an Ogre Axe later that was a good replacement for that, and then facilitated a Mech Giant grind. I know there wasn't a lot for Rydia or Rosa, but I didn't care about them because Kane can take the whole overworld with everything that I was able to find.
Speaking of things that you found, as you were getting ready to go to the underground, you needed to get some XP, it looked like, so you took the entirety of Evelyn Castle, not only finding an Excalibur that's Cecil, but with the free loot on that right tower, the Gungnir, the Leviathan, just like all the bang, 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 good stuff for everybody. How did you feel about seeing that later on in the seed?
That was pretty fantastic. I had planned on, if I didn't find anything good, I was going to go back and buy the light sword from Baron. The X-Cal definitely fit that role and then some. And Leviathan's always a big purchase in Eblon if I have Rydia. Especially after seeing Magus Sisters at the Rubicon spot, I knew I wanted I wanted that Leviathan up and running, and B, I wanted Quake on Palom. So then I took that Mad Ogre chest. So apparently, is it okay if I spoil a small thing from other runners?
I
Dep-
don't see.
I don't.
It
Yeah.
depends. Yeah, sure.
Apparently, and I don't know if you've seen it on stream, the left tower in Eblon Castle had a crystal sword.
Well then.
No, we did not see
Well
that. Oh
then.
my lord!
Yeah, so seeing the X-Cal and then noping out is like getting a nice second prize there.
You're only missing on about like what 50 to 100 attack. No big deal.
Yeah.
My it's less of a question, more of a good explanation for some people in chat that might not see the Mac Giant grind that often. Like, what why did you decide to make the Mac Giant grind choice, and how do you approach that differently than say a D Money grind? Because it is very different.
Well, Porum was in prime slingshot position, and she really benefits from a slingshot to beef up her HP and all of her secondary stats. And I had Kane, I had Strength Gear, I had an Ogre Axe, and when you combine all those with this jump command, you can take down at least 90%, if not one shot, those Mac Giants. So it facilitates some major XP there. Even if I didn't have Cecil to cover, Rosa had Blink to mitigate the Mac Giant's attacks, and it's more forgiving, I would say, than a D Machine grind if you mess up and attack the dragon, or if you weak the Searcher. Um, you can get some cures on the Searcher, or just toss storages like I did a couple of times to do 1 damage.
I like it. I'll just get that clipped so I can remember that for later.
So let's go back more towards like the middle of the seed beginning. Like, so you've got your Kane, you've got your Rydia. You find this free vanilla Rosa. What are you thinking? Is like, okay, what does your party need? Where are you really considering like to up your game, or what are you hoping to find in the near future?
Well, it's tough to say until the underground route is figured out. Because if a magma key pops up, then I'm gonna go loot loot the cave, the Fey March, probably Sylph Cave, and do a couple of resets on some monster chests there. Or it ends up being a hook route, and I look for any other characters that I can find, which one turned out to be Cecil. And then if Cecil's in the mix, I want to take as many trap chests as I can before going underground, because of the in the 4.4 changes, there's a major chance of tier 8, which is all the holy swords in those trap chests.
So that's actually something I was thinking about asking when you're talking about the X-Cal and getting Cecil. With this tournament, this is the first time we've seen tier 8 in the first place, and we've seen the Holy Swords and seen Cecil trying to get like a bit of a nerf to where we only see him during the trap chest. How do you find that the changes to the crystal arm, the crystal sword, the X-Cal, and the adamant armor all being locked behind this tier 8 change? How does that change your routing, and how does it make you feel as a runner?
I think I've enjoyed it so far. I think it pushes more people towards some of the trap chest loot, where in previous seeds you might have only seen that if somebody's got a cursed ring and you can take a palom through Sylph Cave and sweep those chests. There's I would say it's not so much the chance of tier 8, but it's also the increased chance of some of the tier 6 and 7 loot, like the Artemis bow, the Artemis arrows. Oh, and Artemis arrows being moved up to tier 7, especially with Wyvern on the slate. I've never been happier to see Artemis arrows from like a pink tail.
Understandable.
Speaking of Artemis arrows and the Wyvern, especially this Witchburn, have you ever seen that attack before? Period.
Maybe once.
So I mentioned this earlier on Restream, but it actually comes from the Naga enemies that you see either in Luca Cave, which is what you explored, and noped out of that crystal ring, or in the giant that are summoned up by one of the searchers. That's where it comes from. It is a sleep and damage.
I don't think I've ever let them live long enough to find out what tongue does.
Pretty much how I felt.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, otherwise, was how many? I know we have to get 4 qualifier, or you have to put in 4 qualifier times to officially uh, be considered to have completed your qualifier attempt at the very least. How do you like finishing sixth is massive, particularly it's the top six that the scores are based off of. Like, how do you feel so far in this qualifier tournament? And are you going to be like upping your practicing for the tournament? Are you saying, all right, I know I'm going to get 64. We'll see how it goes or whatnot?
Well, funny you mentioned that. I have been taking a casual approach to the practice and doing a lot of force science things in my practice seeds and asyncs. And it was only about a week ago that I decided and actually had the opportunity to sign up and with the idea that I might be able to get in those 4 qualifiers. So I guess my approach isn't really changing. I've learned a lot. I put in some good practice so far in those async seeds, and I enjoy the Sea Hero flags and have since they popped up on ladder. So I'm just going to stay the course and keep enjoying it. It's low stress. If I make the remaining qualifiers, awesome. If life gets in the way, then hey, I had a fun time playing Free Enterprise, and that's par for the course for me.
And that honestly is the way to go about it in the long run. The more fun you have, that's what this is all about. Also, thank you for giving us the actual listening of Green Greens from Kirby Superstar. We had a little bit of audio issues when Mike went through there, so we didn't get to hear it, but I am a big fan of some Poyo on screen.
No problem.
All right, CNC, GG's again. That was absolutely fantastic watching you run this, and hopefully, knock on desk, we'll see you in some more qualifiers.
Yep, got my fingers crossed. Thank you very much, and GG's to everybody else running this race.
Again, GG's. And that is our friend Coffee and Chocobos coming in at 6th place with a time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 48 seconds, who was behind Pancraz, who finished in 1st place with 1 hour, 21 minutes, 45 seconds. Stone Dingley in 2nd place with 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 10 seconds. Dusty Griff at 3rd place at 1 hour, 28 minutes, 18 seconds. Baka Shinobi, 1 hour 29 minutes, 3 seconds. PK4787, 1 hour 30 minutes, 38 seconds. Those are your top 6 finishers, all within about 10-ish minutes of each other. Shows that just how close it was to get in go mode in that aspect. And then following up to round out our top 10, we have Emily's Poorly Drawn Bees, 7th place, 1 hour 36 minutes, 3 seconds. Prof. Corey, 1 hour 37 minutes, 9 seconds. RNG Castro 86, 1 hour 37 minutes 42 seconds, and Zoe Vermillion finishing 10th place at 1 hour 38 minutes 13 seconds. Those are your top 10 finishers, those of off stream and on stream. GG's to all of them, fantastic runners, and really exciting race to behold.
And another exciting thing is on Mike's side, not only are we in the Z fight there, like Moboy just entered, we are seeing rocks on Mike's side. Meanwhile, Leon is showing us one of my favorite grinds, the door grind that we don't see very often. But hopefully it's oh wait, I thought I saw a shake.
Shake
there it
bang.
is. We do have a shake. Mike has officially finished this seat, so get some GGs out from Mike. We'll find out the official race bot time and placement shortly.
Absolutely. GG's. We're going to see if we can get him in for an interview as well. Also, to go back on the door grind, I'm a big fan of, quote, jankier grinds, such as the door grinds, reflecting some of my favorites, to be completely honest. We are, in fact, joined by Mike with our 19th place finisher overall. 1 hour, 45 minutes flat. GG's and very well raced.
Thank you. That was one of the more intense ones I've done so far.
The obligatory questions, like what did you like? What did you not like? What did you curse out when you saw?
Well, it was pretty depressing wiping to Ogo 3 times in a row at the beginning of the stream, and I really liked the pace I had, because that right hand side of Eblin was so gifted for Iridia
Oh.
and King.
Do we tell him? Do we
Just
tell him we
pulled
found out
in
about this?
Leviathan and a Gungnir, and went basically right to start doing objectives, and then ran into Ogo and died, and I used a Leviathan on Wyvern a little prematurely. I
You and
looked
a
at the
few
little
other
list and
runners.
everything that I thought.
Yep.
And lost ones to Evil Wall too, but changed the battle speed down like almost on all of those, and that saved the situation.
And see, that's actually a very heads-up play. There are a lot of runners who will see bosses in positions where like, oh man, this is going to be really hard. I'll just come back here later. You knew that you had the power to get through it. You just adjusted accordingly. Lower battle speeds, and adjusting your strategies as necessary. That is very heads-up play, and that is some of the like bigger plays that comes through that not a lot of runners will think about. And yeah, so as you were mentioning, you were one of the few runners who looted Eblin Castle before doing anything else. Now, have you been in the race spoiler and have you seen the discussion about what was on the opposite side of that tower?
No, what was it?
There was a
A
crystal
crystal
sword.
sword.
Oh, I was here. I was so excited because I found an X-Cal.
Oh, that's a great consolation prize.
Real talk. Because we had CNC in here shortly before you, and CNC did the same thing you did. They right tower first, got the X-Cal, and noped out. And it was CNC in the race spoiler room that said, "Hey, do you mind if I didn't know about this, but did you want to hear what was on the left side?" And we had the same exact reaction as you.
It's funny.
Yeah, that may be like
Yeah.
the best secondary. But then again, you also got a lightsaber on the right side for non-trap chests. So it was just like everything you could get through.
I know. I was so excited. I was just done looting and moving on. My favorite play in the run was I had exactly one Ether 2 that I could afford, and I was up on the moon and had an hourglass and used a siren to get a grind before that hook route. It was a little risky, but it slung shot both Porum and Palom, and really got me ready for the hook route, so that was cool.
Yeah, that was actually something I was going to bring the comment to. That is a very heads up and a very gutsy call. Not a lot of runners would have done that because of the time investment. What made you decide doing it that way as opposed to just taking the trap chests in Eblin Castle and just Leviathan and watching them all away? Why take that, not risk, but take the more chancy time of going through that attempt as opposed to, a safer quote grind?
In my mind, the biggest risk I was taking there was risking that there was a Tella either in Baron or in Eblin Cave, because that would have meant D-Money was the play. But since I was up there and I'd already seen a lot of characters, I just kind of hoped it wasn't Tella, and that's it. The reason why I did that is because I had two characters that were slingshotable, and so that's 68,000 times 2, I think. So Palom got like 21 levels up to 31 off that one fight. Then I had Quake to go with Leviathan, and even if it was something really... At that time, I didn't have a curse string either. I was anticipating hook route. That way I felt like I had quite a bit of XP in one fight to go handle whatever was in hook, which ultimately was what you had to do.
And just really quickly, we just saw Mulway, who entered the Z fight maybe not between 20-30 seconds after you did. Unfortunately, did have to take a wipe, even though they had a massively awesome Ashura that pulled through. Not quite enough. But I did want to mention, and just because it's awesome, you were one of the first Pink Puffs to complete this seed, which, from what I've seen and heard from multiple people, was not an easy seed. So GG to yourself for being a heckin' awesome Pink Puff right there.
I was gonna say that I was a second behind Ang Dave, but I guess he graduated. So
yeah. So you were
right.
you're the top active Pink Puff.
Thank you.
So, well, let's
Did
get
you happen to see how much HP I had in that Z fight?
What's that?
You were really low. Like that
Oh,
was
yeah.
a scary low HP Z fight. I was going to comment on that as well. But let's bring back to the Pink Pup League. So you've been part of the Pink Pup League, and you're now trying your hand here at the Zemus Zone 4. How do you feel about the flag evolution from what you're used to, jumping to, I guess, more advanced or flags that are a little bit higher tier than what you might be used to in the Pink Pup League?
Actually, that transition has been okay because when I learned the game, I decided just to learn Trial by Fire, and I was running like ZZ1 and see Hero Ladder just by myself learning the game. So, honestly, because I've done that, some of the Pink Puff flags, due to how new they were actually harder for me than some of the tournament settings, just because I was, completely unfamiliar with history seeds. So I was having to learn like dupe glitches or all the routes for push B to jump, stuff like that. So I found those more challenging in ways than the tournament ones, their newness.
And see, that's the thing. All flags come around, and you occasionally get ones that, hey, these should be easy for me. And it's even as someone who's been around for a few years myself, I see some flags and go, wow, this is not what I was expecting it to be. But yeah, so what made you take that heads up play of having a not an unsafe team, but a lower HP squad going into Zeromus?
So what made me decide to go into the tournament was I realized I could do this exact fight because I studied some Z fights and I talked to Possum, who gave me some really good advice. I realized I could low level fight and gain some time over some people by avoiding a grind under certain circumstances. And those laid out just right today, so that even though one big bang would wipe my whole party, I was pretty confident that I'd be able to get through the fight with being able to nerf all the big bangs. That happened.
Yeah, just like that, you had an absolutely amazing 19th place finish, which again in this sea of amazing runners is fantastic.
Yeah, I was really happy with the placing. Like my last score was 0.84. I was, and 4.84s would get me in 27th place. This is Z score. In 27th place, and 27th place isn't that far from 16, so maybe I'll up my goal. I just wanted to qualify at first, but if I can get like 4 seeds at around 0.92, that's where you need to be right now, so see how it goes.
Oh yeah, I definitely think you've got a very good shot to get with finishes like that. I think you've got a pretty good shot at making it for sure.
Yeah, I got to improve a bit more, but I could see it. It's not like an impossible dream like it was when I first started. Just looking at the scoring, it seems maybe tenable if I clean up a few things.
And see, that's that's another really heads up play and something fantastic, is the fact that you're looking at all of these runners and you're looking at your own play and you're saying, hey, if I do this better or if I can get better here, you're showing that you're finding where your weakness is, trying to shore them up. It is very, very big, because a lot of runners kind of just go and go, you know what, I'm good here and I'm fine and this, but you're looking to actively progress and actively increase where you know you have your downfalls and make those no longer downfalls. It is absolutely gigantic in your play, and it's really good hearing that someone, and I'm excited to see you as an up and coming runner now as kind of a new face of the community.
Thank you. I have a lot to learn. Like we'll see how it goes when I get an Eddie Yang start, right?
Oh yeah, just the dreaded high speed agility where everything's made up and the agility doesn't matter.
Now, you see, what you really need to be excited for is Team 90 HP, Edward start, Rydia secondary, and nothing but dupes on the overworld. That's that's how Trial by Fire starts.
There you go.
Well, any last thoughts or words on the seed or the tournament as a whole, Mike?
No, just I want to give shout outs to Dishmu, who I think this is the first time restreaming, did a great job. And I feel like anytime I'm on Restream for a while, I'm going to give a shout out to Aska and company for everything they've done with Pink Puffs. It's been really, really good to learn in that group, as well as everyone else in the community. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And GG for being an awesome puff yourself. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Again, Mike34, your 19th place finisher overall, second place finisher on stream, total time 1 hour 45 minutes flat. Very much GG's to him. Very well raced, and while we've been doing that, we've seen Neon Gray getting themselves into go mode, has what they need to just finish off the rest of the seed. Going to return the pan to Yang's wife, and going to be getting a crystal for it. Whereas we have Moleboy retooling some things, going to see what he can get to just try and get through the Z fight. Again, we get some levels for a team, we get some experience and everything. There is a bunch of issues like with Zeromus himself. He is still a jerk, even if you get yourself on the right team, because there's combo platters of nuke into Big Bang, and then all of a sudden there goes your healers, or you get Big Bang into Meteo, or just really bad luck that can happen. So the fact that Moleboy, they've stuck it out and they're going to just go back in over and over again, it just shows a lot of grit and determination, which is really good. Where a lot of runners like, oh, maybe they've seen the top finishes come in, like, no, we're done here, and just finish it off. It's the finish, and just to get through that is still really, really big.
Yeah, and with Z in general, it's so easy when you're at Power Overwhelming or you have all this stuff to just, completely take Z for granted. And Z doesn't like when you do that. And Z summons its best buddy, which is Boardface AI, and reminds you to not take Z for granted. And I mean, you could do everything right, and Z will just high roll you at the worst possible time, or like Death's mentioned, combo platter you, and you are back at the start screen. So it's definitely a fight that is not fun sometimes.
Very true. And there's also the old adage of thinking, oh, I've got all this HP, I'm perfectly fine here. There is a very famous quote that I like to quote. It is, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Speaking of Sid, he is in the Z fight. We've got Rydia with about 1,000 HP, Cecil with over that 2k, Rosa with a low 1,400, again for this Moleboy squad. Gonna be fighting Emperormus again. He's got some dangerous HP here, but I'm excited to see how the rest of it goes. Whereas Neon Gray is making their first attempt into it.
Yeah, this comp is screaming nerf stats or nerf strats, but it's nerfing is not as easy as you think. It requires a very specific timing, and with those HP totals being super low, if you don't nerf, I mean, you can high roll up to 22-ish hundred, and pretty much almost your entire team is out right then and there. So and plus this nuke is just going to be, well, actually that was a kind nuke. I'm a little jealous on that one, but yeah, nerfing can be a little scary if you're not practicing it.
Exactly, and again, there is no shame in going down in lower battle speeds. Like we always talk, hey, battle speed 1, go down this. There's no, especially with Berserkers, there's nothing wrong with going down to, say, battle speed 3, just so you get yourself that little bit extra breathing room. It is a big thing, especially when it comes into a spot like this. And again, Moleboy doing very good with those, with that Ursura, getting some good casts, whereas we have Neon Gray on his side, a lot of HP, just bags that he's going to be absolutely throwing at Zeromus.
Yeah, and with battle speed, what's actually interesting is most, like, yeah, you want the higher battle speeds, but you also have to make a decision. Do you want to effectively risk making a mistake and not having the time to recover at a higher battle speed, or dropping it to a lower battle speed that you're more comfortable in? And yes, the fight is slower, but you're able to do effectively more and safer. It's kind of like a tortoise and the hare situation. And there are still plenty of top tier runners that actually run on not battle speed 1 or 2, particularly for Z fights, just because they know it works for them and they know how to do those battle speed Z fights efficiently.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Zeromus is still, like, nerfing wise, is still one heck of a dance. Like, going back and forth between making sure you've got yourself healed versus knowing what the script is and versus getting nerfs off. It's a whole bunch of a balancing act that if you've got certain things, like for example with Neon Grays, just like high levels of power overwhelming, you don't have to think about that. But if you go for like a challenge, you go for like what Mike might did, a little bit lower HP, you go with like what Mole Boy's doing, and you're making these attempts with slightly lower HP than what you're used to, it can get very scary.
And honestly, even with the power overwhelming on Neon's side, it is very possible for Z to still beat you. The Z fight in general is just a fascinating fight in that unless you are like playing omnidextrous and everyone's decked to the nines with adamant armors, crystal swords, what have you, Z can go sideways in any way, shape, or form because that's what Z does. In this case, it's because, well, it missed its butt, and you can't answer the butt question.
Absolutely, and it's also like knowing how the opening of this this fight goes. You have a couple of turns where some things can't be hit. Like you have to kind of think about more than just like, hey, this is how this is going to go. You have to think about the dance of how your agility is going to work. If say you have perfect agility and you go through. And it's you start your one character, you throw the crystal, then what does your second character do? Can they attack? Can they cast a spell? Generally not. So you want to set up, are they going to be berserking themselves? Are they going to be berserking somebody else? It's a whole bunch of just like little micro decisions that you don't really think about at the time because it's either muscle memory or you've thought of it ahead of time and you know what you're doing. And it's back and forth about how you want to decide it, but it's all in the moment and really, really quick that you don't even think about until you're like, oh, by the way, this is what I should be thinking about doing.
Yeah, basically, this fight, it just anything and everything goes wrong and that can go wrong, will go wrong.
As we talk here, like, yeah, we have quad 9 nukes coming out of Iridia and Rosa's popping out 1800s, but your actual white mage is kind of unconscious. You have no healer here. Yeah, you're just going to berserk your way through, but is that going to be enough? Will this big bang that's going to knock Iridia down, is it going to be enough? Are you going to be able to get through the remainder of the damage? A lot of things here too.
I'm actually really interested in this J item counter nuke strategy. I will say though, we do see rocks falling on Neon Gray's side, but I'm really intrigued by what Moleboy is doing right now, considering how well rare Star Veils are and just the ability to do this. Are they trying to avoid the tip?
It looks like this is 1200 HP strats, but yeah, as you said, it's through other J-items. But while we're talking about that, Neon Gray has gotten through, and with our 41st place finisher, 2 hours, 4 minutes, 19 seconds. GG's Neon Gray for that actually really solidly run seed.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little faster, to be honest, but
Understandable.
Hey, there's more qualifiers. You can get faster in the other ones and bring
Yeah.
up the score. But again, well done. So as we've started with pretty much everyone else, let's go to the beginning of the seed. You have Kane. You have your hero Rydia. Where's your first thought to go, and what are you thinking about?
well, given this is like the third qualifier where we've had that exact same start, I'm immediately thinking, gear. So, this is an opener where I normally look at Emblem. The starter, Sand Ruby, however, that put me by Watery Pass, so I took the front of that. Like, the important thing is to get at least something better than a spear for Kane, so I don't find that it matters too much which of the big loot locations you hit up first.
Also turn. We'll go on.
Speaking of big loot locations, I don't remember if you looted Eblin in the early game. Did you go through there earlier or not?
No, I did not touch Emblem at all. If I go to Watery Pass, I'm not going to spend the time on Emblem unless it's an incredibly weak nearby start.
Leon.
So there's some fun stuff there. We'll get to that later. But what I really
Oh,
want
no.
to what I really
Yeah.
want to get to, we'll talk about that later. The big thing that I want to mention is you did probably the only thing I think no other runner on Restream did. You used that magma key. I
Yes, I
believe,
did.
right?
You're the only
You
one that
did not
had the
take
magma
hook
key.
route. What drove you to the moon and say, you know what, I could take this hook route, but I'm gonna just say screw it and go up to the moon? What drove you there?
Okay, it's actually a combination of two factors. One is that knowing that 50% of seeds on this flag set will be moon required. And the other thing is Darkness Crystal on the overworld before any real chains have been burned out. That says to me that we're likely looking at something important up on the moon. With a hook route making it slightly more inconvenient, and especially with an Hourglass 2 on hand, that just says moon, 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 moon. I get that immediate slingshot on Cecil. I already had a light sword for him, and grab a second light sword for that sells for no purpose at that point, and there you go. Just yeah.
Can we talk about Evelyn though?
What was
Yes.
Evelyn?
Okay, Oscar, you can tell Neon, tell them all
Okay.
about what was in Evelyn.
So, the two people that finished and restream prior to you, CNC and Mike, they went to the right side of Evelyn Castle and noped out. They found an untrapped light sword, a trap chest crystal sword, I believe a Leviathan summon. However, if they would have gone to the left side of the tower, they would have found a crystal sword and a trap chest.
So there are two trap chest crystal swords in Evelyn.
Crystal
There
and
was a-
Excalibur.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that would have made things easier, especially that ludicrously early. No, it wouldn't have helped the Rubicant, but it would have helped.
Everything else?
Yeah.
I've been on the opposite side of this, where I've gone to Evelyn, did all the trap chests, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Watery Pass had everything you needed
Yeah.
for the scene." And I'm like,
I'm thinking it actually would not have helped at all on that mode. Just because I noped out on the one thing that I actually wanted to be hitting. The two things on all three of the bosses I wanted to hit. It's faster to just sit through the King Queen at that particular spot at that low level. Rubicant, I'm not hitting that, especially not at the Hobbit. And then similarly, I just didn't physical the antlion at all. So it would have helped, but it would have helped a lot, but not on the early slow bit at least.
So
Fair
our
enough.
streamer actually pointing out that if you'd gotten the crystal sword or the Excal, that first round of the gauntlet,
Yeah,
you could have
that's
just,
true.
like one
That's
tap
true.
the dragon.
And I probably wouldn't have had to end up doing doors to make up XP shortfall in the end.
Yeah, I like the heads up play by doing the door grind there. It's one that with anytime you see it tell, it's D money, bleh, or it's Mac Giant. In this case, that's actually what CNC ended up doing. But I love seeing other grinds, and showing off the door grind was really cool. And for those that have never done it before, you absolutely showed them how to make it work.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of ways you can do it more precisely without the really skewed agility I had set up. But in this case, I had Rosa with a hero and a lardy bow. There's no way she wasn't going first. So yeah.
Absolutely, and again, as long as your white mage is going to be going first, you can just have them relax and low agility and be fine. Again, the door grind, a jankier quote grind from a lot of people, but I still absolutely love it because grinds that are just like lesser seen or unknown, or not even unknown, just things you don't really deal with, I think are my favorite to show off, because we all know about the Mac Giants, we all know about D Money, we all know about eggs, but it's like, hey, what is he doing in Luca Cave opening these doors, or what they're doing, and you've done a fantastic job showing that off to people.
Yeah, I mean, it was it is by far, it is far from my favorite grind, but it was the tool for the job in my situation. Like my preferred grind was pretty much straight out just by my boss list, which I'm showing a lot of things like Kainatsu and Valvalis Unconsumed, Dark Knight Cecil. So taking, say, giant bosses, which is a boatload of XP, especially after 10. I like to keep that on the table, but the numbers do not support it in this case. And of course the gauntlet was still on the table. It's a lower XP gauntlet on the moon on that spot, but you still get a lot of XP out of that. But in this case, I had Rosa reliably and consistently taking first turn always. I had reason to go to the moon. Not to the moon, to go to Sealed, and frankly, it being a crystal ring there, that's kind of a thank you, but I also hate it, as opposed to a standard thanks. I hate it because, crystal ring on Rydia at nuke level will put her just comfortably over the RA2 line, so that's very nice. Because with her nuking, with her having the nuke level, I don't want to have to put a cursed ring on her. I bought one in case I had to, but I don't want to.
No, I hear you on that, and like I mentioned during the race, you're definitely someone that is taking a new and very fresh approach to agility around here, and I'm so excited to see anytime you talk about agility, I'm excited to see what you get to do with it.
I just get. Oh, I accidentally slept through yesterday morning's race. Who was the hero on that? Just
Rosa. Not
okay.
that I should know, because I rolled. I think I rolled a Rosa.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just holding out for an edge or an Edward. Give me one of those boys. One of my speedy boys that people don't like.
All right, well, you're talking about you want a speedy boy for an anchor. Why do you want like a fast anchor as your hero?
There's a lot going on into that, but the short answer is, if you're running your Berserker team, a fast anchor will provide a similar effect to what people are used to at really slow anchors. Come on, Rosa, you got this, you got this, please.
Oh, this is not even a
No!
roll. That's a high roll.
Oh, no.
Oh,
That was absolutely unfortunate too.
that is a pain that all of us here have experienced.
As we
Yeah.
have mentioned, there are times where you see Zeromas and he just says, "No, I'm sorry, you're done." But yeah, as shown through officially, that is a forfeit from Moleboy. He did decide he would like to do an interview, so we will see them in the chat in a few minutes to get their closing thoughts. But again, huge shout outs to Moleboy for sticking through that and for going through. The numerous wipes still did a fantastic job, especially with trying to do the 1200 HP strats or the reflected nuke strats. Just well done overall.
Absolutely valiant effort. And yeah, if he's looks like Moleboy's getting ready. So unless you wanna chew my ear a little bit more, I'm happy to keep going on. But
Well, I mean, yeah,
we
oh, no, in that case, any last minute thoughts or comments or shout outs?
please give me an edge. Give me an edge or an Edward.
Yes.
And again, Archer Edward is a viable character. I will die on this hill. Note that when I say viable, I don't mean somebody who is optimal, because I think even you, Asuka, would admit he's not optimal.
Yeah.
But he is absolutely viable. Give him a bow. Give him an arty bow, and charm or samurai arrows are cheap and plentiful on this flag set. He will do work for you if you let him.
I think he needs to do his best Dragoon cosplay and just hold down the floor. That's just me. I will fight everybody on that.
Let Eddie shoot things.
There's a time and a place for Eddie floor strats, but not when he's a hero.
True. But yeah, GG on that wonderful 41st place finish, Neon. I'm so excited to see what you come up with, and even
Give me
more
some better
excited.
heroes, please. Give me
I
some
know,
better
right?
heroes.
No kidding. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what or how the rest of the qualifiers go for you.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And yeah, I've kind of warmed to Rydia, but I'm tired of her. We've had the Rydia Cade start 3 times on this already.
Agreed. GG's.
GG. And yeah, and before I go, GG Moleboy. That was yeah, good for sticking that out.
Around talking to make sure everything's fine. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, I'll let you know.
background audio.
Wait.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we are live again. Hello. Okay, so Moleboy again. GG's on your finish. So let's take you way back to the beginning of the seed. You got yourself you got your Rydia, you got your Kane. Where are you looting with that Sand Ruby? What's your plan of attack?
So the only reason I didn't, usually if I have Kane, I will go Eblin Castle, just because there's so many decent weapons you can hopefully pick up. But since you had the Sand Ruby, it's just like, okay, I'm already up in the north. Check Watery Pass, check, up there. And at least, the early Ogre Axe basically kind of meant that Kane had at least something to work with. I want to say I picked up a Dancing Dagger really early too, so it's like, okay, you got something for Rydia, you have something for Kane. Start clearing. That plan went reasonably okay until I made some questionable choices with the wall and stalemate chests, but I was kind of just banking on, okay, I've got an Ogre Axe that lets me one shot with jump. Probably could have done it if I'd been smarter about putting my attack speed down or battle speed down a little bit, but them's the breaks. And I don't know, like I was just wanting to try a few different things. This is my 5th race, so I kind of have my baseline 4, and based on my placement, I need to do something different or do something a little bit more daring in order to see if I can actually improve that time. So that was kind of how I approached the race, doing some things I wouldn't normally do, going to the moon early and face checking to see if there's anything free, which it was a joy to see King and Queen Eblin just sitting in the ribbon room just for that early boost. Slingshotting off of that and the hair dryers. Honestly, I had a lot of fun, even though I knew going into that Z fight that it was going to be nasty, and at the same time also knew, like, I know it was like, oh, are you going to try and avoid the tip? That's a little bit difficult when there is basically not a lot of options for not triggering the tip with J items. I guess I could have started casting things like slow with Rosa, but that probably still wouldn't done it. And honestly, I came really close. Just that Cure 4 went off super late on when it tipped into rocks, and tried to recover it and couldn't, and just was like, you know what? At this point, it is what it is, and just kind of called it there.
That's and that's still really heads up of you're doing some strats you're not used to. A couple of while we're talking about it, a couple of things you can do for doing those stats. If you wanted to, you could just constantly throw the crystal over and over again, or you could do something like buy heal potions and then use those on Zeromas.
Yeah, and I thought about that about halfway through what I was doing, and then just didn't really feel like going back to run the fight back because I found heal pots already, and I was just like, eh.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Again, you went through the fight, I think, 3 times, and you still showed, again, you had willingness to adapt, you had a lower HP team, and you still did multiple different strategies, and you went through the seed, and again, in a different way that you might normally have done so. And that is, again, very heads up on someone who's like, I know that I need to do some crazy things to increase my time or increase my placements. And again, trying things, especially with how many qualifiers we have, and this being, again, our 6th one, nothing wrong with going out of your ordinary, out of your comfort zone, because it's the place to do it, sort of thing.
No, exactly. And it's like, it's the fact that Earth Crystal was behind, the Earth Crystal being behind King Queen Evelyn was actually something that could have paid off if other things had aligned better. And honestly, part of it was like, I just really didn't feel like doing Mac Giants, which was pretty much the, and I debated back and forth because it's like, I have the gear for it, like I'm set up for it. It just didn't feel nice. So I just kind of said, let's try it with a low team strat. And obviously going in with the low HP and trying to rely on Asura from Rydia is always fun, because I think that was my second wipe, was 2 life ones in a row.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we have known Rydia to be a gamble when using Isura. There has in fact been a restreamed race in a previous tournament where we had to use Rydia as our healer, and a runner had the Grey Face 6 times in a row.
Oh.
So again, Rydia is a gamble, and it's 2 to 3 times. It works none of the time. So don't ever feel bad about running those times. But again,
like I said, I had a great time. Like I knew what I was doing was super risky, and it's that, very fine line between bravery and stupidity, and I ended up on the far side that time.
It's interesting how often those two go hand in hand. But again, you say stupidity, I still say experimentation, because again, you said you're doing things you're not used to doing. They're not stupid choices, they're not bad choices, they're just different choices than you're used to, and it's lack of knowledge, which is not stupid. It's just things you need to learn, and you're learning them, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and if anything, I think for me, it's going to the moon earlier, because I have the tendency to want to clear underground and overworld before I go to the moon, just because it's like, be better set up, everything should be quote unquote quicker on the blue planet, that kind of thing. And just realizing that there are, like, part of my calculation in going to the moon was we hadn't seen a lot of the free bosses. Now I ran into a bunch of them after I came back from the moon, but just the fact that we hadn't seen, I think the only one I'd seen before I went up was DMs. So it was just like, okay, like that means there's plenty of free stuff that could be up there. I've got coffins, I've got hourglass 2s, et cetera, and so that made it, worth the risk.
Yeah, otherwise, like, what are your general thoughts on just these ZZ4 flags as a whole, and how your experience in the tournament so far has been?
I think it's interesting to see, like, I think I've had 2 Sea Hero Rydias, and they're probably my least favorite, just because it makes for an awkward agility situation, but appreciating that Asura can go through wall is actually honestly pretty nice. It gets a little bit more there. Like, I mean, part of the reason, like, in this run that I bashed my head against Evil Wall a couple extra times is because I was, like, feeling like, oh, I really need that Palom. But honestly, then by the time I had a full party and I came back, it was like, do I really need this? No, not really. And, Leviathan is a perfectly decent stand-in for Quake, even though Rydia doesn't get the same kind of wisdom games as early as possible, so it's a little bit weaker.
So I guess it helps that I push buttons on my push to talk. So. No, but yeah, otherwise it was, again, GG's on that awesome performance attempt. And honestly, like, all of us were rooting for you at the very end there, just to hopefully, it didn't work out this time, but you know what? You did a heck of a performance that whole time. You should be absolutely proud of yourself.
No, for sure. Like I said, like, I'm not even upset about the fact that it ended that way. I knew going in it was risky. It was definitely not the shortest sea fight I've ever had, but it was worth the try. And kind of like, mainly I think what tipped it is Rydia eating the nuke while trying to drink an elixir, which kind of screwed me over on multiple levels. So these things happen.
Again, GG's, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the the weekend.
Will do. Yourself as well.
With that, Dathus, Mr. Bubble Boy, I do believe we are done for the day.
Is that in fact? That is in fact a fact. We have our runners finished. Those on stream here. And we also have our top 6 finishers, which again, just to reiterate, we had X Pancras, our first place finisher. Then we had A Stone Dingley in number 2, Dusty Griff, our 3rd place, Baka Shinobi in 4th place, PK4787 Ultimate Destroyer and Godslayer in 5th place, and then our on-stream finisher, first one, is Coffee and Chocobos in 6th place. Again, GG's to all of them, GG's to all the runners that have come out, and in fact, we are sending you to yet another runner that is still going. It looks like we're going to be going to, can you let us know where we're heading, Oscar? We're going to send these lovely fine people.
We are sending you over to Gladiator 435, who is finishing up their race right now. First and foremost, no spoils. You spoils, you get the bonk, and the bonk hurts. But of course, again, one last shout out to all of our restream runners: Neon Gray, Coffin Chocobos, Mole Boy, Mike 34. Give them like, loves, and follows. Shout out to our restream team. We had Lemia Harp doing all the tracking, Dishmu doing the restreaming, and then of course the amazing Dathus on comms. Give them plenty of love and follows to them as well.